Recently, we were lucky enough to be able to create a live stream showcasing the Las Vegas store regional over at the People's Card Shop. So because it was a tournament that was live streamed on Twitch, many people really want to be able to watch the VOD, maybe couldn't stay the whole time, anything like that. So I made a deal with the store owner to be able to get the VOD to post on the YouTube channel, which is obviously what you clicked on. I cut it up so that it's only the games, just the games, and kind of the casters talking about some different things, you know, whether it's in between rounds or the winner's interview, things like that. Only stuff that's really important probably to you all. None of the like waiting 20 minutes looking at a single solid screen waiting for the next round to start. I basically ran the production and created a lot of the graphics and stuff like that, and we definitely had some last minute switches in terms of equipment and whatnot, especially audio equipment. So it's not a perfect stream, but in my opinion it was so good and it was so fun and I really loved it. A bunch of my friends joined in for the casting as well. So I hope you enjoy also the different array of casters on. We had a couple different personalities as well. It was a ton of fun. I hope you really enjoy it. And yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I guess. I don't say that enough. And so we've got round one just about underway. I'm Atrocious, Jake here with you with Keith E. Clutch. Hey. Keith, how are you doing in this one, and are you ready for round one?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. We got a setup match right now for Rob Lucci versus Enel. Looks like the die roll. It looks like the Rob Lucci won the die roll, I believe. I believe it was a 6 to a 7.
And so with the player on the left, we've got Alex with the Enel deck. Alex, one of the Las Vegas locals, very big on Enel, been playing it a long time. And then Aaron on the right side playing the Rob Lucci. So players got their starting hands going on right now. Alex opting to mulligan on this, and it looks like Aaron might be mulliganing as well.
Yeah, so things to expect in this matchup. We're going to be seeing probably Rob Lucci just dealing with whatever Enel is going to be playing. Enel wants to start getting his big bodies out as much as possible and start being aggressive as soon as he can. Alex is actually a teammate of mine. I do know this deck list, so we'll see if he utilizes what he's got against this Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci obviously looking to get a good start in trying to play a Spandam stage, get his setup going before he starts removing bodies with things like Kaku, Brook, Rob Lucci, 8-cost Sabo, Stussy, obviously. The Spandine combo with a Gecko Moria coming out really clutch with Rebecca and maybe a Helmeppo. So a lot of things that Rob Lucci could do. And looks like we're going to get a little bit of a glimpse of hands at some point. So we'll just take this turn by turn. Hope you guys enjoy our round one matchup for this first ever Las Vegas Regionals. So if you guys have any predictions on who you think has the favor in this matchup, Jake, do you think you have a pick if you had to pick between the two?
I have a feeling that Enel is going to surprise some people in this tournament, especially the players that we got on this with Rob Lucci. As players are now underway, it's going to be all about if they can get rid of those big bodies. Rob Lucci going first with a 2 Dawn play right here.
Yep, there he is. Get the setup. Looks like we do get a hit off a Tempest Kick or Khalifa. Does he want the 2K? Does he want...
I was going to say, this is a tough choice. Would you want to get Tempest Kick this early or build up counter in the hand with Khalifa?
I think Tempest Kick's a great card to have, but I think early on, you want to just have the counter just in case.
And so the 3 Dawn turn now, we've got Enel coming in. Just going to be a regular AK swing.
Standard.
Something that we see Enel not necessarily having a real great 3 Dawn play besides swinging a, but you get to take a life, and now things are even at 4.
Alrighty, so we got our take, no trigger. Alright, dodged that. Is he going to go 6 with Spandam? He's going to get stage set up.
So Alex goes down to 3 life right here.
Get the Khalifa for the cycle. So it looks like our Rob Lucci player is in some need, filling up that graveyard with 2 Rob Luccis.
And maybe that's the reason why they ended up in that first Spandam play, taking the Khalifa over the Tempest Kick. Maybe looking at their hand and being like, you know what, I got to find some pieces. Yeah.
Oh, he plays the zombie Luffy. I've seen that teched in a few decks. Gadatsu is going to get rid of the Khalifa, it looks like.
And so after this play right here, a typical 5 Dawn turn play, I feel like for the Enel a lot of times, probably just going to be seeing a 5K swing at lead right here. We'll see if Aaron pitches anything. We know that with the Khalifa, their hand was a little bit lacking.
Ooh, we got a little glimpse of the Enel hand. I saw a Raigo. I saw a Yamato. So I think he might have been thinking for a sec on attacking or not, because he might have been thinking about his Yamato value. but the Rob Lucci did counter out of it with a Spandam.
So now on the 6-Dawn turn, looking at this situation, what's probably the best play that you can make at this point on 6-Dawn?
So we're going to see something here because I think he's eyeing that Gadatsu to get rid of. So we're either going to see some sort of removal for the Gadatsu, or he might just end up playing a Sabo if he still needs help. So I think that 1 Dawn up, though, is signifying that he does have something to help remove that Gadatsu. Yep, and it is a Tempest Kick. Yep,
and
there
so
it is.
After that minusing effect on the Gadatsu, 4 overall at this point, that Gadatsu being a quick little 1 cost as Enel goes down to 2 life.
There he is.
There's that Kaku, as you were mentioning, that CP9. Gonna have to put back some cards to be able to KO this Gadatsu, but with plenty of cards in the trash, it is going to be an easy KO, putting back those 2 CP cards.
Yep, great turn to do that for sure.
And this is the pace that the Rob Lucci is going to need to play, especially when you talk about, you know, being able to KO things and being able to pop or put them back in life with Katakuri. Now at, I believe, 7 Dawn at this point. 7 Dawn play could see a Russian Nell if that comes down. Russian Nell being played. Something that we've seen in a lot of these Enel decks.
So I want to see what Alex does here. So I know the 5K swing's coming. It's going to be interesting to see if he wants to swing with the Enel. We're going to see if he actually swings with it, because I think it actually is a good move to keep him standing, because this way it prevents him from dying to 1 KO, and they can't just swing into him for, let's say, a 9K swing. And there he goes. There he is.
And just passing the turn. This is the kind of foresight that we talk about, bringing some of these decks, having to know the matchups. Even though Rob Lucci, one of the newer decks in the format, players really bringing their focus on in this game. For Rob Lucci now going down to 3 life in this, in their 8 Dawn turn. We'll see on this 8 Dawn if they've got some plays. We know that Gecko is now active, being able to bring some of these Rob Lucci's in trash, right? We saw them trash Rob Lucci earlier, and maybe another character.
Yeah, it looks like we have 8 Dawn right now, so it looks like with the trash being fanned out, he's trying to eye up a Gecko Moria. I don't see a Rebecca in there. I don't see a Spandine. You got the Rob Lucci in there, though, so he might try to pivot and not play a Gecko this turn, possibly trying to get another way that he can combo out. But the problem is, you remove that Enel once, all that Enel has to do is just take a life. So it'll be interesting to see if the Lucci player tries to force Enel to decide if he wants to use the effect. So he's going to swing 5 first. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts a Dawn under Kaku to swing 7 after this to try to get him down to 1. But I think Alex is thinking about countering because he does not want a free opportunity to just go down and have 0 life with his ability heal 1. Okay, but he does take it. Does he trigger? He does trigger a Frankie! We get another body on board and a draw a card effect. I love that Frankie trigger. Comes in handy so well. So now he has 2 bodies he has to deal with, and he still has all of his Dawn. So definitely interested to see what he's thinking, but I don't think it's going to be a Gecko.
I think it is a Gecko. The problem with Gecko, especially right now, is it's going to be really hard to pop these. But I think especially when the Frankie comes on the field, you could do something like a Suru Rob Lucci and just go ahead and pop that guy.
Yeah, but I think you want a lot more value out of your Geckos. That's just my opinion. But you still get the Gecko on board, and Enel is at 1 life. You have Gecko, Lucci, and Kaku ready to attack and go for game next turn. And I think the best play that Enel has coming into this next turn is probably going to be playing a Yamato and KOing the Lucci. Obviously, with Rob Lucci, they can bring the 4-cost Rob Lucci back with their Gecko effects or Rebecca Spandine combos. So, and the other question is if he's going to swing with the Enel again, because now Rob Lucci has enough attackers to actually swing into the Enel character to get cards out of hand. So Alex is really thinking here. I think Yamato is just the play here.
Yamato would be able to KO something like the Rob Lucci, right? Because with both players being at a combined 4 life, would be able to get rid of that character and 1 less swing going into the Enel.
Yeah, so this is going to be another tricky situation if he's going to swing with that Enel or not. I think now, though, the problem is, like I said, he's got a Gecko that could just swing 9 for free into it with no Dawn. And usually when you're playing against Enel, if they have a character that's sideways and you have some time, you might as well just swing into that character, try to get some cards out of hand, or they just let it go.
And it looks like he just passed, and so leaving that, trying to maybe say like, okay, my Yamato is going to be able to swing into your Gecko when it turns sideways. So then be able to play that defense with the Enel and that effect. So going into now full 10 Dawn on the Rob Lucci side. We've got different plays that we can make, especially now we can maybe chain a Gecko if we want. We know that 2 Geckos have seen play in the trash and on the field. So especially with an extra 2 Dawn, you can use something like Tempest Kick, right, to do some minusing. You can play a Suru from hand or a Helmeppo. Different opportunities to be able to maybe get rid of one of these 2 characters. Ice Age is another big card.
Yeah, I think Alex might be kicking himself a little bit because with not attacking with the Enel the turn it was played, the Rob Lucci was on their 8 Dawn turn, so I think it could have been maybe more of a signal to say they're probably going to play their Gecko Moria and not dedicate any Dawn to swing into my Enel. So I think Alex might be kicking himself a little bit for not swinging with him that 1 turn, because I think that 1 turn, whether it be the 2 cards or the 1 life that Rob Lucci takes, is going to make the difference now.
And so Rob Lucci swing starts it out, minusing one of the characters, a little bit difficult to tell. It looks like it's going to be on the Yamato right there. So making that Yamato, I don't know, I'm not that far in the anime. 8 cost overall in here, and so going to have to defend against this 5k swing, pitching the Shirahoshi. So thank you, Alex, and the players for putting the numbers on in terms of the cost. We know that sometimes it can be a little bit confusing to viewers if you don't see those numbers in there to remember exactly what's going on. So with the rest of the Dawn, going to be playing that Ice Age, a great card. Really looking to get rid of this Yamato in this turn. Now minusing 6 on that to put it at a 3 cost.
Yep, that Ice Age signaling. Yep, there is the Sabo. Got to trash a card for that Sabo effect.
So that Sabo, one of the new secret rares in OP07. Again, like you were saying, having to pitch a card from your hand. Going to be able to take away a 5 cost or less and a 3 cost or less. And so with the Yamato being at a 3, a perfect opportunity to go into it. And just passing the turn off to Alex.
Yeah, this is getting a little hairy now. Mainly because Rob Lucci has such a big board, and he just has raw bodies that can go in to try to go for game. I did take a peek at Alex's hand, so I'm going to be, swing 5, probably going to get a counter. Yep, another 2k. He ditched the 2k for the Sabo, just pitched the 2k for the 5k swing, and I think he's thinking about an Onami 7k swing banish, and then put the Onami into the top of his life, which would essentially just KO effectively the Kaku, and then Rob Lucci would probably swing with the Kaku first, knowing that Onami would be doing that. I think his other option is also to put the Onami to the bottom for potential future turns. So I think that is what he's thinking about currently.
And I think the bottom may actually be a good idea if you're thinking about playing the Onami Katakuri play, kind of, in a sense, because especially with the Rob Lucci decks, we know that a lot of them play Sabo, but first playing the Katakuri, just
taking that threat off the board.
Getting that 8-cost Sabo back at the bottom of the life, going to be putting Rob Lucci up to 4, and yeah, like you were saying, just passing into the turn, another Rob Lucci turn, so now at 4 life, maybe trying to get rid of these bigger bodies until later in the game and say, okay, you need to start stringing these big characters because I'm going to do it too. Yeah,
and I think what Adnel has the advantage of too in this matchup is that he does play Raigo. So Raigo, 6 cost, reduce your life down to 1, which for Enel, that's usually naturally easy to do, to KO any character on their side of the board. So I think what Alex is putting this Rob Lucci in a position now is that I'm going to start starving you of resources and make you have it. So I'm going to make you have your big bodies if you're going to play them. If you don't, I'm going to Raigo, and then I'm going to start steamrolling with my Yamatos, my Aces, etc. So this is definitely going to be something where I think experience in the matchups and having a lot of games with them will show in the long game if they're able to stabilize. I think we saw Alex had a Raigo in his hands. We already know that that Gecko's probably going to be off the field next turn. Just going to be interested to see how this Rob Lucci deals with any of the bodies. So, yep, just going to go poke for 5.
And this is one of the things, too, is like going into the going in an Enel matchup. You need to know this matchup in and out, because especially with the newer players that we see, or maybe players that aren't as experienced with Enel, it's a difficult deck to play against.
Yeah, especially with all the triggers that they have. Typically, what Aaron's doing right now is actually perfect in this matchup because he is just going with the Pex. He's not overcommitting his Dawn. A lot of players falter in the Enel matchup because they overcommit their Dawn to go for game, and they run into things like Beige, like Luffy, like a Raigo trigger if they have enough life. There's things that can really mess up your game plan. So you want to do as little committing with your
Interesting. So not only playing a 2K Khalifa, but trashing 2 more 2Ks.
All right, Aaron.
With the Kakus. Aaron, he's cooking.
I think right now he's understanding that the Enel's trying to starve him out. So he wants to utilize all of his removal cards. That's literally what it has to be. Otherwise, he has another four or 5 cards in hand that are all 2Ks. But yeah, Alex is looking in there like, you've discarded a lot of 2Ks. Now it looks like 4, 5, 6, including the Khalifa on the board. 6 2K. Oh, wait, and the Suru. That's 7 2Ks. Usually they run about 12, I believe.
Yeah,
7 already on the board, and now he plays a Sabo. So it looks like he's going to take this turn off, but I think he's just playing the Sabo just to play it safe in case there is an Onami trigger or something. But
I think this is a little bit of a crucial turn as well.
Oh, that was for the Sabo.
Yeah, that was for the previous Sabo. But I think that this is kind of a crucial turn also because especially when you talk about like the Yamato, there is 6 life between these 2 players. So Kaku is something that could come off the field if like a 9-cost Yamato comes in. And so
yeah,
really,
now with the Sabo.
Yeah, like you were saying, now things can't be KO'd in terms of effects. Only put back in life or KO'd in battle. So it'll be interesting to see how it responds because we see Alex on the left with the Enel. He's got a Raigo in hand.
Yep, and that Raigo is going to be ineffective this turn. And oh no, he triggered a Raigo, and the Raigo could not be triggered due to the Sabo effect, so the Raigo is going to go to hands now.
So an excellent heads-up play. Enel having several different triggers, like you were saying with the Onami earlier, and now the Raigo. Plenty of cards that KO things on trigger. So an excellent understanding again from Aaron. He's doing an excellent job in this game.
Yeah, very, very impressive. He's taking it slow. He's building his board, focusing on making sure that the Enel player just starts to slowly but surely whittle down his hand to when he can just have maybe 4 or 5 attackers in 1 life, almost sealing the game up. So 5K swing going into life.
Starting off with a 5K swing, taking this life, I think a lot of people would maybe take that free block right there, but especially with the other swings incoming, this is going to be the 10-drop ace.
Here we go.
Ace coming in, bringing you back up to 2 life in Gaining Rush, one of the new secret rares in OP07. Ace is going to be really nice to be able to continue the pressure, especially as a big body as well. Going to have some Dawn commitment to take this down in battle.
That is 100% correct, and a 10 cost is not easy for Rob Lucci to remove unless they have a couple cards committed. Here comes the Enel. I was thinking to myself, this would be a good time to start swinging. Trigger, there's the stage. Trigger for free, the Ennie's Lobby stage. So now it's going to make it a little easier if he's trying to eye up that ace to remove. So I think priority right now is trying to get rid of 2 bodies this turn.
And so pretty good removal right now from Alex in terms of taking out the Kaku in battle, getting the block on the Sabo, and 2 life apiece. We're sitting at in here for the Rob Lucci and the Enel with about 14.5 minutes left in this round. It's going to be interesting to see. I think this is an incredibly crucial turn. This really decides the game.
I think so.
Of whether Aaron can pull this out or not.
Yep. Maybe even if he has another Sabo, we're still trying to commit Dawn to removal. We're trying to commit Dawn to some sort of maybe a block. But even then, like I said, if Aaron can get rid of 2 bodies this turn, then he's in a little more of a comfortable spot to try to sit back. But now the pressure's on Aaron. So Alex really flipped this over to where Aaron had a very intimidating board, and now Alex is the one with the intimidating board. Aaron's the one that has to answer it.
And so when you're talking about the different bodies, you see 3 bodies on the field on the Enel side. So which ones do you think you go for in a quote-unquote ideal scenario, your typical scenario?
Well, I would say this is the ideal scenario. You have your Rob Lucci as a leader. You have Ennie's Lobby on the board. So this is just, at this point, it's if you got it, you got it. So it's a matter of doing the math. I mean, if you could take out the ace, great. I would say if you had to choose between taking out the ace or taking out the Katakuri and the Enel in some way, shape, or form, that would be the move to go with. Like I said, 2 bodies. Okay, it looks like he's going to go 10 into the Katakuri to start off.
So this will be interesting because this will take a couple counter cards.
I think he's going to counter it. I think he wants to not make it easy for Aaron to just have a body that goes off for 1 Dawn. Make him use more Dawn on his leader or another character to swing into it. Yeah, this is going to be a counter. Yep.
And so going to be a 2K and a 1K. That Frankie and Rocket Luffy, an exciting card in this tournament that people are wanting to see. And so not a lot of counter in hand, I would say, from your other cards, but not revealing that at this stage.
Yeah, it was a little bit risky for the Gecko to just swing into the Enel because Enel has 2 life, so Enel would just obviously trash trash the life, get down to 1, no problem. So you might as well go for the cards. But if he's swinging with that 1 Dawn onto the Gecko and not with 2, perhaps, try to get more cards out of hand, it means he has a plan with the rest of the Dawn and he's trying to remove things. So I think Alex was smart in countering out of the attack. Aaron has 9 Dawn to work with right now, and I think he's thinking right now his absolute best to do the most optimal play, which obviously you want to do. With the time starting to go down, obviously it's always good to pay attention. There's a lot of high-stress positions in these tournaments where you're thinking about your turns and what you got to do, but you don't want to get distracted where your opponent's taking 3, 4, 5 minutes on their turn. I always say, I'd like to play the game too.
And so we see a Tempest kick with one of these done. Going to be minusing 3 characters, so looking around, trying to understand. And I think that this is going to really tell which target he's going after. So with this Katakuri here, going to be putting it at 5 cost overall for the rest of this.
So we got 5, 4, 3, 2 with the Ennis Lobby and the leader effect if he chooses to swing.
So going to be interesting in seeing what to do with the rest of this 8 Dawn. We've seen a couple Geckos, I believe 2 Geckos in the trash right now, and 1 on the field means that there's only 1 left in the deck until you cycle through your entire deck, which could spell a little bit of trouble in a whole different sense. So we'll get to there if we get there. But
so there's also a line, I think 7, 6, 5, 4. There's also a line of a potential Sabo where he might Sabo target the Enel and the Katakuri. So the swing 5, he's just swinging 5 into the Enel, so he does not get a trigger body off of life, which I honestly don't like if he is going to play a Sabo, just because if you swing into life, he's probably going to give you a card. If he takes the card, then uses the Enel effect, he has to give you a card. That's my opinion.
And so the judge on the call, Malik, just making sure that everyone's aware, the Rob Lucci, you do have to trash 2 cards on that when attacking. So just making sure all actions are completed. Malik doing an excellent job getting judge certified, so then we could have a judge and run this event. So shout outs to Malik. And then now we continue on in the turn, just trying to get some cards and trash. And there's the Sabo, that alternate secret rare.
So we're okay. So this is a tight spot now for Aaron because Enel has his 3 monsters on the board. Aaron has 2 life. I can't see how many cards he has in hand, but I'm assuming it's in the range of 4 to 5. No blockers. And Enel's still at 2 life. This is actually a very critical turn for Alex right now. I think he feels it too. Does he put up the pressure? Does he swing a bunch? Does he be a little more conservative and try to play something, another big boss monster on the field?
And it looks like he set aside 7 Dawn. So after seeing this gigantic swing, 13 into the Gecko, he's going to take it out. A big body off of the field. And could see a Raigo come down.
He's going to
Flampe Raigo.
Oh my God.
Flampe is going to come down, going to get him to draw 2 cards, and this Raigo is going to take out the Sabo, both big bodies off of the field. An excellent play.
Oh my, that was actually very, very good by Alex. I think for me, I would be looking at trying to go for life, but Alex essentially guaranteed that everything that was going on there was to remove both of the bodies, and now Rob Lucci once again in a tight spot. Rob Lucci might be in a position right now where he's got to go for game.
And so both players now at 1 life. This is do or die.
Look at Alex. This face cam action right now. Alex is just...
Alex is over the moon. He's in a great spot right now to be able to advance into round 2 with a 1-0 record right here. But anything still can happen in the One Piece trading card game.
Yep, I think Aaron was definitely expecting maybe a go for game, maybe counter out of one of the 3 swings, get down to 0, and then get the crackback with the Gecko and the Sabo. Alex, with that Flampe combo, using the Raigo, was able to pull through and remove 2 bodies, which is what Aaron was trying to do the previous turn. So now with the Rebecca coming out, Rebecca Sabo, classic move, but right now the Rob Lucci is in a desperation spot because even with that extra turn that he was able to get with the Rebecca Sabo, Enel is Enel, and he has a lot of utility cards he's going to be able to use, or just load up the Flampe and swing with it too.
And so one thing that you can talk about with this, you set up 2 blockers on the Rob Lucci side, but what do you have to compete with the Ace, with the Enel? You don't really have much unless you want to commit the Sabo to swinging. So
yeah, I think
definitely
Aaron,
a kind of stalling spot at this point.
You're 100% correct. Aaron just says there's really nothing I could do. It looked like I saw Aaron's hand. He does have a couple of 2Ks, so Aaron was fully prepared for the attack that last turn, and Alex decided to just pivot, and man, did it pay off. Now we're probably going to see a Yamato come down, but I think he's just going to use it to heal. Maybe see a 6, 7, 10, just whittle him down a bit, and the Yamato would heal him and essentially almost guarantee that he's going to survive the next turn again. Yep, there's a 2K. Yeah, he's going to play the Yamato, no KO, it looks like. Swing 10, eat the Rebecca, and then just heal up, play another boss monster.
And so this boss monster coming down is the Yamato. Can't really KO anything because of the Sabo effect and the amount of life. Can't even KO that Spandam, unfortunately. But like you were saying, I'm not sure if there's anything that you can do. The writing might be on the wall. Yeah,
I think at this point, the clock is ticking. Yeah, Rob Lucci, I just said the clock is ticking. This is just a matter of, I think the Enel ended up snowballing out, did that really great pivot play to KO the two bodies. So grats to Alex on the win. Aaron played an amazing game. I think it just came down to Enel just having the cards, and interesting to see that Enel not swinging for almost 2-3 turns and then utilizing the Enel. Very, very, very good by Alex. Excited for round 2.
Definitely one of those plays, and a player that knows the matchups in and out, knows how to play the deck inside and out. And so, especially with that life, as we saw in there, we got Beijing in there, we got Shirahoshi in there. Alex was set up for the long con.
I wanted to scream, but I didn't want to blow anybody's ears out when he did that play. So just trying to be respectful. I know a lot of you guys are asking us to speak up a little bit louder. I will do my best to do that. I'm a loud person in general. Just don't want the guys over there hearing me.
And it's always exciting to watch One Piece. You know, this is the store regional in our local scene. Both of us Las Vegas locals, you know, we're excited to be able to see this.
We'll give him a reenactment of the Flampe Raigo turn. Both him and I were just
absolutely going crazy, like pushing each other over. Thank goodness the table is so much farther down from us, so nobody can hear us. But thank you again.
Great round 1.
Great round 1. We've got round 2 coming soon. Thank you again so much for watching. We'll be getting you some more information here later soon, as we've got the tally of the different leaders as well. Going to try to get you a metagame before round 2 starts. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the next round coming soon.
See you guys. Girls, he, she, they. What's up, everybody? My name is KD Clutch. I'm joined with my co-host for round 2. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, How about you, man? How about you?
I'm feeling good. Just commentated round 1, Rob Luke versus Nell. And here in round 2, we have a Jewelry Bonnie. You're one of my top picks coming in for regional. What do you think of the matchup, Jerry?
Oh, man, this is going to be a control fest. Like, who can control the board, who can have the most swingers, is going to be kind of insane.
Yep. Obviously, with Jewelry Bonnie's effect, when an opponent attacks once per turn, you pay 1, rest up to one of your opponent's leaders or character cards. I think one of the plays that I'm excited to see in the matchup is the station of Hody Jones. Hody Jones, as a lot of people know, 7 costs with Rush. 7. Got a Hody Jones is 7 costs with Rush, 8,000 power, take a life, rest 2 bodies. He also has the option to rest a Dawn. But I want to see if Hody Jones is going to be utilized to actually rest a character and the Dawn and the opponent's leader. Have a rogue coming in that restand 1 Dawn for the Bonnie. So right now with the restands, obviously both players. Right now Josh currently has only just the Bonnie on the field, so the 1 Dawn up by the other Bonnie really doesn't do much. Unless Bonnie plays a Cavendish on curve to get an extra Dawn. But I think it would be better,
to just swing.
Swinging 6.
Can't rest a body if there's no bodies on board.
Look like this might be a true start to the mirror. I think it's going to be a rogue. Yep, there he is.
There it is.
Coming out, restand, pass. So standard opening right now. Very standard. Just a matter of who is going to be the aggressor first, who's going to see their pieces, and obviously hand size is going to be very important, as both players' hands are protected. There's nothing that can really discard any cards from the other player's hands. So I think one of the big difference makers in this deck, there's a Cavendish. Big thing about Cavendish in the mirror is that the only way that the Bonnie can really remove it is going to be through attacking, unless it has some other effects, such as maybe like an X-Drake. But X-Drake only KOs a 4 or less, not a 5 or less, so...
See an 8K swing coming in.
8K swing, so he's using...
And he uses it to rest the other Rouge.
Interesting. So the player on our right, Mr. Grant, having the Dawn up with the Rouge effect. So if I was Josh, I'm probably looking at swinging at that Rouge. It's getting a lot of value. You have the Cavendish coming in next turn. Your blocker is probably going to get attacked as well once Bonnie uses their leader effect. So let's see what Josh starts off with if he wants to. Yep, got to remember that Dawn.
Got to remember, start off with the right Dawn.
Let's see, a 5K swing. He might be thinking about playing a Hawkins this turn.
6 to the blocker.
Yep, so 6 Dawn up. Bonnie effect, rest the blocker.
True
And
mirror match.
will we get another 2K? We do. So right now, Josh definitely pressuring Grant, where Grant's used a couple 2Ks. Josh has no cards in his graveyard currently. So Josh definitely winning the hand advantage game.
So the double blocker with the resting would help a lot with the controlling of the board, because now he has the option to protect with Basil his Arouge.
Well, it's like you said, this is going to be Control Fest 2024. And the other thing, too, to utilize that Cavendish ability, Bonnie does want to play something, likely a body, maybe even just a search, just to get those 2 Dawn rested, so that when he attacks with the Cavendish, he does get those 2 Dawn to restand and utilize them. So the player on our right, Grant, currently at, I believe it's 8?
2, 4,
Yep,
6.
currently on their 8 Dawn turn, so tapping 6 looks like it's going to be a Hawkins of their own.
Another Hawkins.
All right, so Hawkins comes down. Going to go 7. All right, so let's see what Josh is going to be resting this turn. Might be the Hawkins, so we can get an easier swing on the Cavendish. Let's see what he's thinking. Restand the 2, yep, with the Cavendish ability. And he's going to rest the leader. Okay. So decides to just nullify another attack. He's thinking about countering 1K. I think at this point you want to keep that Rouge Rogue. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Yep, going to give him a 1K. He's thinking about it. Bonnie, and I did see a card in Josh's hand right now that's going to be the difference maker and likely the card that Josh is going to play this next turn, the 9-cost Zoro. One of the key factors in this mirror match, because the Zoro, as a lot of you know, will be able to swing 3 times on their turn, depending on how the Bonnie reacts and what cards they could do. So they're going to go ahead and actually just swing big with an 8K swing. I'm guessing it's going to be into the blocker or rogue. Yep. Doesn't want him to get the 9K Zoro off and get a free Dawn to use for the Bonnie ability. So let's see if Josh does decide to just play this 9-drop this turn.
He does have a blocker on the field, so it wouldn't be too bad.
I think to consider, too, is if he really wants to swing right now with either the Bonnie or the blocker, it's ideal to swing with the blocker because Bonnie will just rest the other character. So it'd be better to get a 7K swing in, but it looks like he's going for the 5. I don't know.
5 to 5.
I don't know 100% about that move, just because of the fact that the Hawkins is going to get rested. So if both leader and the blocker were going to get rested, you might as well have just swung with the Hawkins anyway.
Right.
It's probably going to be an easy counter, but once again, forcing a lot of cards out of hand, and there is the Zoro. Yep.
Hard play the Zoro. There's not really much that you can do to get rid of the Zoro as another Bonnie player. The only thing I could see, because he's on his 10 on turn, if he plays Hody to rest it, try to swing into it, it wouldn't be enough.
No, it's not. That's not going to get there. I mean, you could do some fancy play with Hody Jones, sure, and then you can restand the Dawn with the Cavendish. You'd probably be able to get, let's see, 7-5. You could do a very big swing into the Zoro with Hody Jones. That's correct. Let's see if he's got it. I see an event. I see 2 Dofis. So right now, it does not look like he has it. He might just play a 10-drop Dofi to establish a body, but leaving that Zoro on the field, man.
That is dangerous.
Even just 2 attacks going through, it puts him down to 2 life possibly, or he just leaves the blockers up. So definitely a lot of different things he could do this turn, but...
Even though that Josh has the 9K on the field, with a Dofi and the Arouge on this field, he can still prevent multiple swings.
So he's gonna just establish the 10-drop Dofi, rest the Bonnie and the Hawkins, still get the Dawn with the Rouge, which is important because both of Zoro's abilities that can restand, one of them is an activate main, the other one is a when attacking, which means that he can attack, restand himself while attacking, then the Bonnie can rest him to force the opponent to use the activate main ability. So there's different ways that you can utilize that. So he's going to swing at the Cavendish to get 2, and then is he going to swing again is the question, because now he has 2 Dawn, possible 6K swing coming in. The player on our left, Josh, did not have an active Dawn to rest one of the characters, so Grant might want to capitalize on that and actually utilize his swings. But if he does, would he want to swing maybe 9 with his Hawkins into the 7-cost rested Hawkins? Does he not care about it because he has a 10-drop Dofi on the field and it's frozen? Lots of things to consider in the Bonnie matchups, which is why they usually go a little bit slower.
I also think that 7 into life would not be a bad option either. Looks like it might be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to pressure your opponent down. You got to win the game at some point. Josh, though, has a very big hand of cards. So for 2 Dawn, he is going to swing for 7. There it is.
Now, is he going into life or is he going into the Hawkins? Into life.
Into life, yeah. Josh will probably be happy to take that card. No problem. So now we have the Zoro advantage. Oh, yeah, those are rested. Yep.
Rested.
We have the Zoro advantage on our left with Josh. Grant has the board advantage right now. And I know Grant has another 10-drop Dofi. So Josh only has to commit essentially 2 to 3 Dawn with that Zoro to get those swings in. He might be contemplating just going for board, maybe swinging at that Cavendish, get more cards out of hand, or just remove it since it continues to be a menace in restanding the Dawn. And it looks like he has a Hawkins of his own, another Zoro. I don't think, with being at 2 life, it's going to be a little bit harder, I think.
Yep.
He might be considering it and then just have 6 attacks at minimum the next turn. But I don't know. This is a very difficult situation, I think, for Josh. And he's really trying to think out his turn. How can he gain back the advantage? His opponent has less cards in hand than him, but he does have 4 life. He does have the Zoro he wants to take advantage of. But the second Grant plays maybe another Zoro or a 10-drop Dofi, and especially if that Zoro's rested, Zoro can restand with his Activate main ability to swing again.
Grant looking real good with 4 life over here, 4 bodies on the field, and an open Dawn to rest probably Zoro's second attack.
Yeah, like I said, the 2 Zoro effects are, obviously he just swings 9 for normal. Then you can tap 2 to restand him, swing again. Then he has his third ability, which is when attacking, pay 1 to restand it. But Bonnie could rest the Zoro when he does the when attacking effect, so he doesn't get another swing. So it could just be 2.
2 swings for the Zoro. So what do we have left? 8 Dawn. If he were to go with that play, what would be his options?
Yeah, no, I think right now, looking at Josh's hand, he's really just trying to utilize his turn with what he's got. He does not have a kid. He does have a 10-drop Dofi, but really ineffective right now. So I think he's trying to set up to maybe have Grant be more aggressive and then respond with a 10-drop Dofi of his own. So, like I said, right now he may even just go with the double blocker play, leave a Dawn up, maybe swing that 9 in. But I think Josh wants to have a strong play this turn. His opponent's still at 4 life, and he's got the board advantage right now. So Josh is trying to consider. It looks like Josh has 2 different search cards in the Jewelry Bonnie 1-cost character search. And he does have the, I believe it's Pizza Party?
Pizza Party?
Yeah, the pizza. I
More pizza, please?
More pizza, please, yes. More pizza, please.
Whenever I see that, I always say, it's pizza time.
Yeah. It's pizza time. Bonnie likes to eat. Yes, that's okay. So it looks like he is going to take advantage of that search.
There it is.
And it says more pizza?
Ooh. More pizza?
All right, looking for a supernova here. And we do just get the 2K. 2K Scratchman Apu. And now he has 9 Dawn left. Like I said, I think playing the Zoro might be a little bit risky just because he doesn't have another Dawn to rest a character, and his opponent has a lot of attacks to go through just to go for game. I think Josh wants to build board at this point, try to establish some sort of turn where he can go in with the Zoro again. So, very interesting. Once again, Bonnie was one of my choices for the top 2 picks in this tournament, and now we have a mirror match going in. So suffice to say that we will have another EXO Bonnie going into next round, regardless of the result of this one. At least one. So I'm still cheering Bonnie on, but I could definitely say these mirror matches are something else.
It is kind of crazy, because we were thinking that Bonnie might have been the 4th strongest deck in this regional, but after we got the numbers down, Lucci only has 4 people playing Lucci, and then we have 3 other decks playing. We have 3 other decks being represented by 9 players. Of course, the top one is RP Law with 12, but we got Black Yellow Luffy with 9, we got Anel with 9, and Bonnie with 9. So Bonnie tied for 2nd place with 2 other decks as the most represented deck at this regional.
And RP Law being number 1 with 12. Should have just guessed that. That's my main deck. I was just being a little more on the side of thinking a lot more Luccis would be playing, but only 4 Luccis. And then we do have a lot of other rogue decks as well. I think probably after this round, we're going to check in on those rogue decks, see how they're doing. I do see a blue Dofi in there. Blue Dofi, definitely a scary deck. So it looks like Josh did swing 9
Raw
into
9.
the Hawkins, counter for 10.
Counter for 10. 0-cost event. Do we restand with the 2, or do we play something with the remaining Dawn?
Oh, so it looked like he did play the... he did use the Zoro ability to restand him so that Bonnie could activate her effect to rest the Zoro immediately. Therefore nullifying the Bonnie effect. But once again, like I said, he's going to spend 2 to restand him again. Swing another 9 into He's going to go into the Hawkins again. He's going to get Cavendish time.
Cavendish.
This might be in a Rouge block, but it looks like he's just giving him counter. I think he only has 2-3 cards in hand. Yeah, there's going to be a block there. Yep. There he goes. Pretty much as predicted. So paying 2 for another search. He's got a Bonnie, but he only has 3 Dawn left. He's going to get another 2K.
Yeah,
Yep.
another 2K.
So stack up on the 2Ks. 4 Dawn left here. I'm assuming it's going to be a blocker with 1 Dawn up and pass. Yep. Alrighty.
I'm actually not too familiar with that.
With the
Bartholomew.
Barto?
Yeah.
So it's a 3-cost blocker, 4,000 power. He has a once per turn if on your turn, so on whoever the turn player is, if you do an effect that rests a character, whether it be a rest through a search or something along those lines, then you get to draw a card, trash a card. So it's a cycle. So it essentially lets you filter out your hand. And in the mirror match, filtering hands and drawing cards is very important, which is why I think Josh right now, being in this position, even at 2 life, he's got a lot of cards in hand where Grant is kind of skimming down his cards, and he might be forced to play this 10-drop Dofi to stall another turn. But it's going to be interesting because then that Zoro could just get restood.
Yeah.
Can be restood for 2 Dawn to swing. But once again, if the Bonnie in this position would have to swing with the Cavendish in order to play the 10-drop and then have a Dawn active for the Bonnie ability. So it is possible. Could even see a 6K swing into the Jewelry Bonnie, and then he would keep the Zoro, Hawkins, and Bonnie rested with the 10-drop, and then he'd establish another monster on the up.
Another Basil Hawkins. This time,
There it is.
Grant without the Dawn to rest next turn.
Well, he's going to have the Cavendish swing, so I'm
Cavendish
assuming he's
swing.
going to swing with that Cavendish in order to restand the 2 Dawn, and then question is, what is he going to rest? He's resting the Dofi.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So instead of resting the Hawkins, he decides to rest the 10-drop, so it denies him that attack going into his life, or potentially even bigger swing into the Hawkins, maybe for 11. So good move on Josh to prevent that attack from happening. At this point, he's forcing his opponent to, if he wants to swing with the Hawkins, I don't think he's going to. And then it looks like Bonnie's probably going to have a 6K swing, may just go into the Bonnie to get rid of it, or might go into life to pressure maybe another card out of hand. Let's see what he does here.
Does look like that.
I think having the Bonnie up is a little bit dangerous because it allows Josh to look for more options and draw more cards. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a 6K swing into the Bonnie. Oh, he's swinging with the Hawkins. He's thinking
no
about it.
blockers next turn.
He's thinking about swinging with the Hawkins. But the 8K, where's it going? Is it going to face?
Well, if he goes into the Bonnie and he really wants to keep the Bonnie, we could always just give up the Barto.
Well, no. I think if he goes 8 into Bonnie at that point, because he's following up with a 5K swing with the Jewelry Bonnie, so
Right,
it would
yeah.
be a little bit more difficult for Josh to defend the Bonnie. I think this 8K is going to life. I think he's trying to pressure him more because Grant not having a lot of cards in hand and having 4 life, you have to have a moment where you pivot and start putting pressure on your opponent. So I like this move going 8. You know, the only other thing after this would be a 5K swing, so I think maybe it'd be better to start with the 5 and then swing with the Hawkins. But this Jewelry Bonnie is likely going to go into the other Jewelry Bonnie if I had to guess. Yep, Josh thinking through his turn. This is likely the 8K is going to face. So Josh thinking if he wants to go to 1 with this board on the field right now, does he want to block it and then just have the 5 kill the Bonnie? He's thinking real hard. I think what he's optioning right now is trying to figure out with his 10-drop Dofi that he has in hand, if this is going to be the time for him to start playing it or put the gas and start swinging into his characters. So with the 10-drop Dofi already resting his 3 cards, this might be a turn that Josh needs to really start stabilizing, and I think his 10-drop Dofi is going to be the answer to that. So
Right.
Josh is trying to set up, if I do 10-drop Dofi, how is it going to set up for my next turn? Problem, once again, is that Josh does not have any restand abilities, so the 10-drop would rest 3 things, likely the Cavendish, the Hawkins, and the Doflamingo, leaving the Doflamingo and the Bonnie leader active to swing. So 5 going into Bonnie, yep, there's what we were expecting. So everything is rested, yep.
Everything is rested.
Yep, double 10-drop Dofi, definitely strong in the mirror, especially with a 9-cost Zoro on the field to set that thing down to not swing again.
So there's 2 options, right? With the if he plays the Dofi, he can't swing with Zoro, or if he plays with, or if he swings with Zoro, he can't play the Dofi.
Yep.
What other options do you think would be great this turn?
I mean, honestly, Josh is in a tough spot because you're in a position where you want to stabilize, but in stabilizing, you're leaving your opponent with 5 big attacks coming in, and your opponent is still at 4 life. So Josh really has to be able to manage this board and start getting the board advantage while Grant doesn't have... I think Grant has 2 cards in hand right now, it looks like. So with Grant having 2 cards in hand, Josh has to start snowballing this matchup up and start removing bodies. But the problem is, like I said, Grant is just going to be aggressive because he does not have a lot of cards and he has a lot of life. He can afford to be aggressive. So is the 10-drop Dofi the right play? And then have 2 big swings coming into likely the Hawkins and the Zoro. Possibly another 10-drop Dofi to respond to theirs. There's so many factors in the mirror match that can happen. So seeing Josh's hand, I know he has a couple of cards in there like a Bonnie and a blocker. But because Bonnie plays a lot of higher cost Dawn cards, it's hard for Bonnie to really say, I want to do 2 things this turn.
Right.
Where they can really only commit to maybe 1 action for the turn.
At least there's not too much draw power, right? So if we pressure the cards out of Grant's hand, would you say that Josh would be able to stabilize a turn or 2 later?
Honestly, it really depends on how Grant responds. With 2 cards in hand, I think Josh has to put him in a position of saying, if you have it, you have it, in either another body or so. But I wouldn't be surprised if Josh does play the 10-drop Dofi, that on Grant's turn, he decides to do some big swings. Okay, he's going to get the Zoro up.
Get the Zoro up.
Okay, here we go.
We're doing a bunch of little things, it seems.
Yep. So this Zoro right now is going to have 10 underneath it. Is he going to go for the Cavendish? He is. Alrighty. So Josh electing to go for board control.
10-6.
I think this attack should go through. Does he have 2 cards in hand? Or does he have 3?
Now we see Grant's contemplating the swing, lets the Cavendish go.
Easy go. Okay, play the Hawkins, and then pass.
And then pass.
All right. Josh definitely in a tough position here. Because now Grant has just some free swings with the Dofis, or maybe at least 1 free swing in where he could swing maybe 11 at a lead and then have the other Dofi get rested. I think Josh is hoping that Grant does not go for board, whereas if he does, Josh has so many cards in hand to counter out of the attacks that come through. And then if Grant really doesn't play another body, then Josh can respond with a 10-drop Dofi and then start to restabilize, and there's a Hody Jones.
Hody Jones takes one of his many 4 life.
Yep. Alrighty, so now
Down
Hody
to
Jones
3.
comes down. Now Grant has the option of face or... It looks like this is going face. Resting that other Dofi. Yep. I think Josh is contemplating that he could survive if he's going face, so he's probably going to take the hits. But, like I said, it's a very tricky spot right now. And in playing the 10-drop Dofi, Bonnie will not have an extra Dawn to utilize for her leader ability. So, Grant thinking hard. He's got 2 more swings left. Bonnie already used the ability, so we're looking at a potential 7-8 swing if he's trying to keep the Hawkins. Nope, he's going aggressive here. He wants to go in. I don't think he's going to get game, but he wants to get his hand size down as little as possible. This leaves a potential opening for Josh to go for game, though, because he does have that Zoro that gets a free swing, essentially, and then he has 2 Hawkins as well. So with 4 life, Josh has at minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 5 minimum attacks, because Zoro does swing 3 times. I figure either the Zoro or one of the bodies will get destabilized with Bonnie's leader effect. So we're looking at a potential 5 attacks with 3 life, and Grant does not have a lot of cards in hand. So I think that Hawkins swing is very interesting to see because it does put pressure on Josh, making him have it. But looking at Josh's hand, and Grant should know as well with all the 2Ks that Josh has drawn this game, that he does have enough to defend himself. So he's thinking of countering the 7K swing because next up he might potentially have like a 7-9 if he wants to go for game. But Josh thinking thoroughly and deciding to counter out of that attack here. So what is he doing with the rest of the Dawn? 7. All right, he's going to take the 7. Now the question for Grant here is...
That's a real heavy hand.
I think Josh has enough counter right now to counter out of this 9K swing. If Grant's going to be greedy, I think it's going to cost him the game. He's just going to go 8. Yep.
Just going to go 8. And
he was
there's
bricked
the game. He was bricked up.
I thought he had a 0 cost event. He used it earlier in the game. So unfortunately, Josh G loses that matchup. Grant being super aggressive with all of his life that he had, and Josh not being able to have an extra 2K counter to counter out of that swing. So the game goes to Grant there. Tough game for Josh. Grant able to stabilize, getting that 9 cost out, but 2 den drop Dofis I think definitely seal the deal for Grant there.
Right. The thing about Bonnie is, and then all of green is just that there's so many cool top end cards with Zoro. We got Eustace Kid, we got Zoro, we got Hody Jones, and then that Doflamingo. But as you can see right there in his final hand, that's all he had. And there was nothing he could do to counter out of anything.
That's
that
correct.
Last one.
Yep, a lot of people that play against Bonnie, especially in my matchups, I get a little intimidated when I'm trying to go for game and they have so many cards in hand. At the end of the day, in my head, I'm thinking through all 13, 14, 15 different plays they could do involving a Hody Jones or a Eustace Captain Kidd or a 10-drop Dofi. And at the end of the day, you have to look at your board state and realize, can I survive next turn? Probably not. You have a lot of cards in hand. You're playing green. There's a potential you're bricked up. I'm just going to go for it. It would have been crazy if Josh had another 2K in hand to counter out of that 8K swing, because I think he had game on board. But congrats to Grant, taking that one down. Another Jewelry Bonnie goes through. So far, at least one of my predictions is going to be XO going into the next round.
Right. I have yet to see a Black Yellow Luffy do.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take a brief break for this round, get next round set up. Probably change up the casters as we go. We hope you guys are enjoying the stream. Thank you guys for coming, and we will see you in round 3.
All right, welcome back to the One Piece Regional at the People's Card Shop here. We're going into round 3 here. We actually got a spicy one. Because we got a spicy one on camera here. What we got on camera here? We got
Boa and RP Law.
We got Boa versus RP Law on the feature match here. So first round, we did see that Enel versus Lucci matchup. Enel came out on top on that one. And then we saw that Bonnie mirror in round 2. Unfortunately, our boy Josh got that bricked hand and stuff like that. Lost the mirror there. But this time, we got that Boa versus the RP Law. How do you feel the matchup between, that Boa and the RP Law usually goes around here? Talk about it a little bit.
You don't see it as often as you think, but it's going to be very interesting. Both decks being able to bounce bodies. RP Law has a hand size, but Boa gets that advantage eventually. So we'll see how it goes when it hits the 10 down curve. 10-drop title.
Yeah, 10-drop title there. Definitely, looking at how the metagame is going here, right? The RP Law is going to be that prominent aggro deck in the format. Do a lot of ramping, do a lot of cheating out bodies here. But that Boa also is going to be cheating out a decent amount of bodies with that 7 Warlords package here. Let's see how efficient this Boa can be. Looks like our Reputable Law might be reading what Boa does. Don't get me wrong, I did also have to read what Boa did because I'm used to the other blue deck that is the 7 class, the Blue Dofi.
Yeah.
But if you haven't known what Boa Hancock does, during your turn, if you activate a character that leaves play and goes to the bottom, you draw a card as well. So every time you're in the bottom something, you are going to be able to draw that card if you have 5 or less cards in your hand here. So looking at the die roll here from that Trafalgar Law versus the Boa Hancock here. Greg versus Shane here. See how it goes. What do you think the key card here in this matchup is going to be for both sides to win this matchup?
For Boa, absolutely seeing the Jinbei on curve at 4, being able to play that body, put another body on board, especially like the Law, the blue Law. You put it on board, you bounce something off their hand, put it in the bottom of the deck, and then they draw 1 card from leader effect. That's really strong against Law, especially because it forces them to get rid of a card that they might want, especially when they're in their opening hand. Law can have that problem where they don't see the resources, they do see the resources. So it all depends on what happens right there. Law, absolutely. If it sees the Reijus, you already know how that goes. It's a win-win match right there.
Yeah, so the Boa wanting to see that Jinbei here. For this Law player, what key card is going to allow him to try to get up, or what key cards for him to keep up in this game to close it out before the Boa can get to that late game?
I would probably say to try to ramp up as fast as possible. So most likely like the Zoro Juro if it sticks, the Bon Clay if it sticks as well, the Penguins. Try to put in a big board while being able to get that Dawn up so he can be able to swing out and reduce that hand size from Boa, or else Boa will catch up and fill up that board for Law, and Law will not be able to catch up on getting rid of that many bodies.
Yeah, 100%. With that lack of a Sakazuki being in the format because of obviously that banning that came through, that Zoro Joe is really being able to stick on that board and be able to get that value here as well. You see what I see. Love the character matching on the Dawn, on the
Yes.
Dawn, and the leader here. You know, we got the boa.
That's
you
the
know,
waifu
that's
boa.
the waifu tax here. We got the boa. Oh,
he's got the full Dawn set.
Full Dawn set. We're just starting out here with the boa here. It goes 8 to face. Obviously, that law is just going to take that AK swing to the face. Go down to 3 life here. Let's see what that law is going to start off with on this first turn, on his second turn of the game here as his 4 Dawn. This is really going to see how much
Looks like we
tempo
have
here.
Zoro, some Bonclay. Yep.
Yeah, look, we have a Bonclay,
saw
3-cost
Sunday.
Rush Zoro here, as well as some other classics. We got a toy law in there as well.
Yep.
But he's going to start off with this Bonclay here, ramp 1 Dawn here.
Minus
Looks like he's
effect.
already going to minus effect here on the second turn of the game. Let's see if he does have a
Yes.
Sashi and Penguin to go back to 4 here. This is going to be the classic play early from Law. Using that
Absolutely.
Sashi Penguin, going back to the same 4 Dawn if you have the double ramp here as
Now
well.
the question here is, if the Law player would do what most people have been doing to blue players, is starving them from swinging at their life so they don't get those resources. But the question is, if that's a smart play, because Boa can draw a lot.
So it does look like the Law player actually is going to
Yeah.
pass the turn here. He's not going to give him that first life here
Absolutely.
immediately. Boa player going back to their 5 Dawn turn here. Let's see what if he can do. Does he have that Jinbei? Does he have the different thing?
Oh, wow.
Doesn't actually have an early game play. Just puts all 5 Dawn onto his leader and swings for a 10k here. Law already at 2 life as well, going into his next turn.
My prediction is that he's trying to reduce his life so he can be able to get to that higher Dawn and be able to put out more bodies and eventually get to the 8 to 10 Dawn curve, push out the big bodies.
Okay, we are saying he is going to swing on this turn here.
Wow.
We have 2 crocodiles actually countering out of here. It looks like a 5k swing, 5k swing, and then now he's going to play the Zoro Doro and have another 5k swing here. Takes that one. Oh, here's a second 3-cost rush Zoro Doro here. Attacks for another 5k here. But thinking about it, he's going to take that second and that third hit here. Looks like the Law. Thinking about leader building, does leader ability here. And it's going to be a Beppo.
Interesting card.
Yeah,
Huh.
Beppo. I've seen them creep up in a little bit of list recently. Is not really good into the mirror match because
No.
you do have to be less Dawn. But versus everybody else, it is quite strong
It's
here.
an interesting tech, I would say. It's very interesting to see. Everybody took it out for the last set.
As you can see, he doesn't have the full set.
Ah,
He doesn't have the full set.
so unfortunate.
That's actually very unfortunate. Honestly, I got to be rooting for the Law player at this point.
Yeah.
Not having the 10 matching Dawn. We're going to start here with the 6k swing from that Boa here. Looks like he was motioning towards that Zoro on Shane's side.
Yep.
Let's see what Shane
Law
has.
player
in his-
has 5 cards in hand. Yeah.
Yep. Boa not using a card yet. It was only countering out
yeah.
2 swings here. He's
Not-
going to let that Zoro die here. He's going to tap all of his Dawn here. And come with that 6-drop Boa here. All right, he's going to pass back. Law player going up to his turn. Has multiple swings here.
What is he going to do?
He's going to start off with a 4-cost Revolver Law here,
Smart
blocker.
play.
He's going to discard 2 cards from his opponent's hand here. But shuffle his deck here. Shuffle his hand, excuse me.
Yeah. Let's see what cards he pulls out. Oh, the 10-drop Kaido. No.
Yeah, 10 card goes there. As we know, that Boa doesn't allow that Bond Clay to swing this turn, so he's not going to be able to swing and copy that Boa at an 8k.
That's a very smart play right there. Bond Clay is quite of a dangerous card right there. But
Yeah, Bonk is so incredible because, being able to capture that 8k swing there for free is going to be doing so much damage there as well. But locking it down and developing that body from the Boa side counters out of that first 5k. He's going to take that second 5k. Looks like we have a trigger here.
Ooh,
Decides not to
that's
trigger here. He's going to swing another 5 with that Sachi and Penguin. Another counter out here. And then we have a 7k with Law here. That Boa is going to take it, going all the way down to 1 life here. We got a full board from Law here with 2 life
He's
versus
gonna
just
cheat out
that
the Kid
one.
and Killer right now.
Oh no, he decides he decides not to here. Gonna keep that Dawn economy. But at 1 life, just has the 6-cost Boa on the field here. Looking like
Very interesting.
Sizing up 2 Dawn here for a Boa 7k swing.
Swinging to Zoro.
Swings to Zora. Kills one of those tapped attackers from last turn. How are we going to get back into this game as the Boa here? 1 life, only has 1 thing on the field. What cards are going to allow us to get back into this game, allow us to really get back into it?
It's really tough situation right here. Clear board, try to block her up, or bounce back bodies. There, oh yes.
Oh, the 7 cost event that's going to put 2 of to the bottom here. He's going to pick that Bond Clay. You want to put the Bond Clay to the bottom because you don't want it to copy that
Absolutely.
8 cost.
And get rid of the blocker.
And gets rid of the blocker here. So he did actually clear 4 bodies on that turn. So now Law only has that 2 swings, the 1 Sachi and then the 1 and his leader as well. But we do have a whole bunch of Dawn. He did get to draw the card off of the Bow effect as well. So it looks like he has 6 cards in his hand. Does Law try to go for the victory with the double swing right here? Or does he wait, play a couple more bodies, poke a little bit before he goes for it? Doesn't really have 2 life here, but doesn't really have a lot of rush cards, obviously, in the deck.
Not. It does have a lot of counter, and it looks like it has one of the events in there, so it might be able to counter out of a big swing. So it all depends on what the Law player does, if he wants to get cards out of his hand, which would likely be the smartest thing. Because it could, if he goes, takes the life.
Takes the 7k swing. So he started off that turn with a 5k swing with Sachi Penguin. Counters on her with the 1k. Trivago Law goes with the 7k swing. Takes it from the Boa. Boa at 0 life here. We're going to have that Law activation here. -3 Dawn. Puts the Kid Killer in. Kid Killer for a whole bunch. Well, how much is this?
8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to face.
Take the game there.
That's so unfortunate for the Boa.
Yeah, the Boa had a good start. Got to be able to take the first 2 life from that Trivago Law. But just didn't have a lot of the stuff. The Law just, spews all those short bodies onto the battlefield, takes it down from there with all those 5k and 7k swings. Unfortunately, the Boa, the 2-0 Boa, the last one in the game, taken down by the best deck.
He didn't see no Jinbei's early start. No. You see all he countered out of. Yep. It was all the stuff that he might have needed, but not the Jinbei's, not the Laws to be able to try to put something on into the bodies, which makes sense now why he was swinging so big. But the first turn you swing is fine, but when you go to the second turn and you swing no bodies, kind of hurts you,
Yeah. So, he definitely needed a body in the early game here. Obviously wasn't allowed to do any of the Jinbei stuff. But obviously, 5 Dawn turn, just swinging 10k at your opponent's life. You're just going to go so far behind against that Law. It's just not going to be able to come back from that point.
That blocker Law did get rid of that 10-drop Kaido. That 10-drop Kaido hits the board. It's a whole different game, man.
Just would allow him to draw 4 more cards, be able to get back into the game as well. But unfortunate for the Boa. But we got a graphic here.
We do.
The metagame graphic here.
Let's go over there.
We made a cool, nice pie graph here of the meta today. We got 56 players here on here. And, we got a lot of, the good, meta report here. We got 12 red-purple Laws. Obviously, what a lot of people think is going to be the best deck in this format.
Absolutely.
At least maybe not the most dominant in this format, but just, the most played.
It's expected.
It's expected. Looking at Japanese format coming through.
Absolutely.
This is the most expected thing to come through. It's going to be that red purple Law. And then we got some actual big surprises more on the top here. We got a 9 black, yellow Luffy, 9 Bonnie, and 9 Enel. Where's our Lucci? Our Luccis are only at 4 Lucci.
That's surprising to me to see Enel above Lucci. It's kind of crazy, but hey, it's nice to see that people are not giving up on that deck,
Yeah.
It comes up. Most people don't expect to see that deck as much as before because it fell off the tier list, as many say. But it's interesting to see how people are playing around that. But now my curiosity is, how are those Lucci players doing?
Yeah.
How many have gone up?
Yeah, we had one lose first round on stream. We had another another Lucci we had another Lucci start 0-2 as well, so that's at least two of the Luccis not doing well in this tournament. That's very surprising. I did definitely went into this tournament thinking that Lucci was going to be probably the second, third most represented deck. Would come and dominate in the middle of the rounds and stuff like that. But it's pretty interesting. So we go there, that 12 Law, 9 Luffy, 9 Bonnie, 9 Enel, those 4 Lucci. Then we start getting down to those 2s and 1s here. We got that 2 Boa Hancock here. We just saw one, unfortunately, lose on camera. We got 1 Yamato, 1 Nami, 1 Perona, 1 OP01 Dofi, 1 Red Purple Luffy, one OP06 Luffy. That's going to be that purple Luffy. We have a Katakuri, a Gecko, and that starter 13 Ace actually coming through as well. So we have a lot of 1-ups in the bottom of the metagame breakdown here. As just, as expected here.
Very interesting. I would like to see my personally going down that list of 1-ups. I saw the match before this round of the OP06 Luffy, one of my favorite decks. OP05 Luffy, actually, right? Luffy is OP05, not OP06, correct? Yeah, so that's a little bit missed typo right there. But so I'm interested in that. Oh, we got our casters, Jareen and Keith, playing a little friendly right now. Black, yellow, Luffy versus Law. So
yeah, we had that matchup went a little bit quick. So we have a decent amount of time left on here. So we got some, or some more full casters. Some of our colleagues here. Got Jareen and Keith, into the fire here. We're watching Trafalgar Law versus a Black Yellow Luffy here. Traditionally, I would probably say that this is probably one of the worst matchups for Black Yellow Luffy, as there.
We both know how that goes.
These are the top two, decks of this format here.
Absolutely.
Really at our metagame report as well. Long being the most played, and Luffy being tied for second here as well. But basically, if we want to break this down, Black Yellow Luffy trying to get to that 0 life, obviously, so he can put that 2 big dues from his trash into his life and cheat them out with a 2 cost and become a 9k leader for the rest of the game. Law, traditional aggro deck, trying to get a whole bunch of bodies out at the same time, swing heavily, put those good 5 and 7k numbers out there, and just kind of roll over your opponent.
Yes. Right here, it's a crushing match. It kind of hurts for the Black Yellow Luffy sitting there at 4 life. Most of the time, you at least want them to put you at 2 so you can be able to use that Rocket Luffy and get rid of their bodies. But most of the time, they won't swing at you until they get to the end game and they just go for life. But we will see how our friend Jareen will do right here. Oh, going with the Machino first turn, taking the life and seeing what he has set up.
Looks like he has doesn't have any big bodies in there, but he looks like he has 1 baby, a 2k, and then a 1-cost searcher in there. So he's going to move it so he gets the searcher on that second life, so that he can obviously search for something that he needs later down the line here. Keith doesn't have a 2-down play. Law doesn't really have a 1 or a 2-down play in the entire deck, obviously.
Is he going to Hiyori right here?
Yeah, he has a Hiyori, he has a Space Luffy here, he has a couple other things. The Black Yellow Luffy could just continue just to try to go up to 0 life, immediately, but decides just to go for the 8k swing at the Law here. Law, you're going to go that forward on here.
Now let's see what our friend Keith does right here. Oh, the Ein ramping up 1 Dawn.
Yep, does
and
the
he
Ein
passes.
and doesn't swing here. So specifically, the Black Yellow Luffy wants to get to at least 2 or less life here.
Correct.
A lot of his cards turn on when he has 2 or less life, so keeping him at that third and making him go to that second is really going to be key right here. He does have that 5-cost Space Luffy here, but you can only activate that card if you have 2 or less life here.
But he can chain it with the Hiyori. He plays a Hiyori, puts it on the life, plays the baby, puts the Rocket Luffy on board. He goes to 7, and he triggers the Rocket Luffy because he's at 2 or less life after that. So he can get rid of the Ein and get a 7k swing after that. And then the Law has to choose what they want to do, as the leader is 7, and they got to resource a lot of Dawn into it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has he has the baby here. He's actually just going to play out that 5-cost Ace here. That 5-cost Ace specifically is going to be a 7k on this turn, so he can't just get minus 1 time. He needs 2 minus effects to put it in the bottom with that Trafalgar Law if he wants to, or we'll just see he develops a 7k on the board, try to fight for board here, maybe try to pressure the Law. Don't give him as much time as these other decks as well.
At the end of the day, even though he can't swing with that Ace, if he doesn't get rid of it, it's a bad day for him, because it's still a 7k swing that's going to go up at him eventually.
Yeah, at him, take 2 cards from the field here. So we got to miss also.
So we're saying he's ramping up Dawn. He knows that the Luffy will go to 7 or 9. And when it comes down to that, he will need the Dawn to be able to swing out. So
minus is the effect here as well. Gets a body play here.
That's what he's going for right now. Just trying to ramp up, get the resources. Ooh, Shiraya. Okay.
And he has a Shiraya here. So doesn't pressure the Luffy again. Keeps him at 3 life here. Does develop, multiple Dawn. has 4 swings, 4 characters for the next
Oh,
turn.
he
to
has the
swing.
Luffy baby now.
Oh, he does have a Luffy baby here. So if he can use the Hiyori, put the Luffy baby here.
He will have
as well.
2 searchers now because he put that Garp at the very top. So when he Hioris, he's going to get that Garp back, and he's going to be able to Garp and use the Brothers Bond to search twice and get the Rocket Luffy and the draw. So we will be able to gain 4 total cards, new cards in this turn, basically.
Yeah, pretty interesting thing here as well to think about here. We have the Shiraya out in the field. We have that Bond play, right?
Yes.
What do you kill? What do you kill on that 5 thing? Because that Shiraya is going to copy, whatever the power of the leader, but that Bond
Bond play will copy the ace.
The ace, right? So we look on the hero.
It's a situation. I would probably go for the Shiraya because the Shiraya becomes a problem, making it easier for him to be able to counter out of that swing. Rather than the Bond clay, he'll just add a Dawn and probably swing 7, and he'll call it a day.
Keith, pointing to the Bond clay,
okay, he gave him the Bond clay.
I actually would have done it the other way. Killed the Shiraya now. Allow him to copy. He's going to copy 7k no matter what.
Yes.
But that blocker's going to be more of a problem later down the line. But we do have a 7k leader. But we're going to start with that 9k swing with the ace. You want to swing the ace before the leader. You're putting Dawn the leader because then the Shiraya doesn't block.
If he copies the leader, he still has to get the Dawn. So, yeah.
So we did get to turn on our everything that is going to be 2 or less, right? Just want to give up another 2k here from Keith. And keeps that 1 Dawn to be able to activate another Searcher here. Looks at the top 5 cards. Looks like he has only 2 options here. He either has the Baby Sabo or the Big Luffy.
At this point, I would probably go with the Baby Sabo because Big Luffy probably. I mean, you do want to take your life at that point, but it kind of situational. As that you are at 2 life and you play the Big Luffy, you go down to 1. You have to have a follow up to be able to protect your life because Law can swing out when you're at 1 life, and it becomes a trouble. Right? It's a problem right there. Especially if you don't have a 5-drop Sabo blocker on board, it's kind of it's a bad day right there. So we'll see what Jareen decides to do.
Yeah, he has a Baby Luffy and a 5-cost Luffy in his trash right now. So it has a decent amount of options here. Keith on his turn, we're looking at an 8 Dawn here. Looking down at your opponent's 7-cost ace here, what he can do is he can play one of these minus effects and minus that ace and then just swing at it normally. Yeah, so he has a Gordon, puts a minus it right here. So it's going to be a 4k right now. He could just attach 1 Dawn, 6k swing at it, or just try to get some 5k
and he
swings.
gives it to him.
Just gives it out of here.
It's a smart move. No, you don't give him no cards, and you actually don't allow him to be able to play like a Toy Law or another Gordon or Race Max and bottom deck your ace because you don't. I don't know if he's seen them off the searchers and he bottom decked them already, and we don't know where they're at in his deck. So might as well just put it in trash and keep it safe where you can bring it back later on, rather than say, I haven't seen my other aces.
Yeah, we have another 9 here. And then we're going to minus 3. We're going to put that Hiyori to the bottom. Not really too relevant here. Hiyori doesn't really do much. But just going to put out another...
Reiju.
Ooh, puts a Reiju. Just going to draw 2 cards here. So it's going to refill our hand a little bit here. Keep us a little bit more safe. It's going to pass the turn, 1 and 2. But now, as we can see Keith doing, he has enough characters next turn to try to go for almost a full out swing in the following turn.
I'm looking at his board and I'm like counting out. I'm like, yeah, that's bad news right there.
Yeah, this is the main strategy that Law tries to enact versus the Black Yellow Luffy. Keep him on that 2 life here. Force them to get to 2 life. Keep him on that 2 life. Get a whole bunch of Dawn and just start swinging 7s at him. Just try to poke out. Maybe if he takes a 5k hit, maybe he takes a first or second 7k hit, then take a whole bunch of cards from your Black Little Luffy's hand, so he can't just...
Oh, he's searching.
Ooh, searching with that.
Let's see what he gets.
With that Garb here.
Looks like there's a Gecko in there. Flampe, Garb, 2 Garbs, and a Baby Sabo. So there's only one option right there, and there's a Baby Sabo. Unfortunately, he has to bottom deck the rest of the searchers.
Yeah, puts a whole bunch of good cards to the bottom. Looks like he has double Gecko in his hands.
It's very interesting. He has not seen a single 5-cost Sabo.
He hasn't. No, he's searched upwards of about 30 cards right here. It's not in his life. Hasn't been what he searched as well. So let's see how much left here. He does have a 5-cost Luffy.
Yes. That is very interesting. What he's seeing.
It looks like we're sizing up 3 Dawn here to attach to our leader. We don't have a significant swing after here. We can swing 8, which I would say would probably get blocked by that Shariah and with a 1K. And
Absolutely.
then, let's see there. Kind of sizing up his hands. Just has a couple babies. Has 1 2K in there and the double Gecko here. So does play the aloof.
Does he take the life and draw? Is he going to risk it? Oh, yes, he is.
He's going to see it.
2K.
He's going to draw that extra card. He's going to get plus 2K.
So
Draws a
flambe.
2K flambe here.
Yes.
What he can do is play
The
play
flambe,
yeah,
go
play the
down,
flambe.
leader effect, and then put himself back to 2 life. But now, would that be the move? As he will stay at 5, the law can still swing out.
No, actually, is just going to take the life, keep his Luffy at an 8K, and then swing 8 with his leader here. This is not actually that good of a position here for the Black Yellow Luffy at all. It has 1 life, it's still at a 5K. Your opponent has 6 swings at you this turn. You only have so many cards. He's going to probably have to use his entire hand, or at worst, have to take that lethal shot here. So let's see what Keith is going to do.
Has 2 kid killers and a Zoro.
Keith always has the double kid
God.
killer at the end of the game. You know,
He can literally just go 5-5, the whole thing counters out, and he just plays the kid killers, paying the Dawn, leader effect, and bring out the Zoro with it.
yeah, we have 8 Dawn here, so we have a decent amount of 7K swings. We have a decent amount of 5K swings as well. See how Keith wants to start. Just going to start with a 5K swing from his leader here.
What he's going to do. He does know what his life is, so it depends.
Yeah, I believe it is another a 2K Hiyori that he put at the bottom of his life here.
Oh, he's going to start going 7s.
Yeah, it takes counters on the first one. He's going to look at a 7K swing here.
It's that 2 more 7 swings, and it's a wrap. It's over.
All right, look at a fine pay 2K and then 1K here. Counters on that one. We have another 7K swing here. Has another 2K 1K here. Actually, just takes it. Is there gonna be that? Is there gonna be that Luffy on the bottom here? We have an
Oh, he's just
9
going
for
to poke
5.
for 5.
Has that 1K.
Another 5.
Another 5 is gonna poke. He's gonna give him the 1K. Another 5. He's gonna give him that 2K.
He's going to bring out the kid killer, and he's going to cheat out the other one afterwards. Yeah.
And this is why it is such a bad matchup for that Black Yellow Luffy.
Yes,
Because
it
we
is.
have it here. That killer is gonna come in for 11. He only has 2 cards in his hand. He's gonna give it right there. GG.
It is so interesting. Red Purple Law saw everything he needed.
Yeah.
Like the opening hand for the early ramp was just perfectly changed, just exactly what he wanted. And it's so interesting that he didn't see a single 5-cost kid, but he didn't really need it.
He didn't even really need the 5-cost kid. He put multiple bodies out
Yes.
that are going to be a little bit different. You know, has that bond play, has that Shariah, had the ramp in the early game, and got enough bodies to pressure. Even through Dream killing multiple bodies on that one turn, was able to reestablish and then set up.
Yeah,
that at the end of the turn.
that's the power of RP Law
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that it can do crazy stuff
He
like
can do
that.
some crazy stuff.
And unfortunately for Black Yellow Luffy, cannot catch up. Sometimes you can. You have that one game where you win, you see what you need perfectly fine, but the odds of that are. It hurts, you know.
Yeah,
As Black Yellow players, it's like damn. But
It hurts. All right, well, that's going to be those 2 things. We're going to go transition. We're going a little bit of a break here. We're going to see how the other matches have gone this
I'm very
round.
interested in to see if we have any of those one-of decks that are still undefeated.
Sure. Yeah, no,
So we're gonna go walk around
All right.
and go see that and see.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Yep.
Hello and welcome back. We've got round 4 coming here with you in a moment. Peter here is alongside me. My name is Atrocious. Thank you so much for joining us today. But we got kind of an exciting round, I would say, in here. Peter, what do we have for the viewers?
We got a crazy one here. So we're obviously at round 4. So we got a double 3-0 here. We got Bonnie versus Enel here. We got 2 matchups. We don't have not having a Red Purple Law on stream this time. You know, we got Bonnie versus Enel. We got that mono green Bonnie with a tap ability versus Enel.
Mm-hmm.
The person that can never die.
The person that can never die.
The person that can never die.
We saw the strength of Enel in the first round with Alex and how much the survivability in those big bodies, especially in consecutive turns, really just dominate the game. So
something that we'll have to see with Bonnie's resting effects if it can overpower the NL to really try to take a handle. So moving into now the game, let's go ahead and transition into it. Bonnie versus NL, Kenny and Ron. Kenny, one of the locals of Las Vegas, very good player in his own right. I know he's been playing a lot of Perona lately, so switching it up to Bonnie in this event obviously saw something, and it's working out for him. 3-0 so far.
Yeah, he's doing it incredible on this Bonnie here. I asked him before this tournament started, I walked up to him and I was just like, "What are you playing today?" And he was like, "Bonnie." And I was like, "How do you feel about how do you feel about Bonnie right now?" And he's just like, "I think it's incredibly strong. I think I'll get a decent performance on it today." And look at him, 3-0 into the 4th round here, playing against a matchup that he said actually he really likes going into it, because he says that his big bodies are better than his opponent's big bodies. So.
And you would have to think that he's got some looking there. 8 cost Eustace, Captain Kidd, one of the best cards in the game. And then also some excellent stuff like Hody Jones. The 10-drop Doflamingo can be very strong. I will say he is losing in the flex battle with the sleeves. The Ron over here has one of the more better sleeves that I've seen in the tournament so far. Absolutely love it.
Dude is absolutely flexing on all of us in the building right now with these sleeves. Like, just look at him. That's us looking on the sleeves right now.
That's us. That's me trying to figure out, what the matchup is going. It looks like Kenny is going first. He's just going to do a pass, not going to be playing any Bonnies, and moving into now Anel.
Yeah, doesn't actually have any of the one-cut searchers to play on that first turn, and Anel also doesn't have anything to do on his 2-Dawn turn. Looking at Bonnie here, a lot of the time with Bonnie, you do kind of like leave one Dawn unrested here, but he's actually plays that 3-drop here that's not, like, at the end is going to put it back and doesn't actually swing at an NL. Decides to starve him on that first turn in the game here with the Bonnie side.
Now Dellinger, a card that Kenny is super key on, and one of the great cards in his deck, allows him to restand a Dawn at the end of every turn. So after that Anel swing takes a life, Bonnie going down to 4 life, moving into their 5 Dawn turn. I see that Eroge. I haven't looked at the YouTube comments to see how to pronounce this one, but is in his hand, maybe looking to key into that as the Jewelry Bonnie takes a life from the Anel, moving down to 3.
Yeah, pretty interesting. He doesn't swing on that turn, but actually decides to swing on this turn. And then he plays another 4-cost blocker here. That's going to put also another Dawn unrested here. So he untaps 2 Dawn here, has 3 open on this turn here from the Anel.
And so we've got the Anel now. The Anel going into, I believe now, 6 Dawn turn. Has a couple different options of what they can play. We see that Raigo in hand. Maybe not a good fit at this point, but a Gadatsu here, especially with 5 Dawn left on this 6,000 power swing, could be something that we see to take out this Dellinger, and it looks like it's going to be a Luffy.
Yeah, so pretty interesting, because the Luffy can only trash itself, but only will kill something when you have 2 or less life, and now at that crucial 3 life points here, doesn't swing that on that first time with the Bonnie to keep his opponent above that 2 life here, so that Luffy cannot be activated here. Pretty smart by Kenny here, but him sizing it up right now is going to start with another 5K swing here. Let's see, Anel just instant takes it here. He's going to take it, no trigger here from the Anel side. Let's see what else the Bonnie can come up with.
The Anel building up the hand as they go ahead and play that Cavendish. One of the best cards in this Bonnie deck. One that came out in OP07 and has really boosted this deck into what it is. So the Anel now going into the 8 Dawn turn. Katakuri now is something that is live if to be played. The Cavendish could be something that is very good to get into. I'm sorry, Basil Hawkins, as I mentioned, not that far in the anime. The Basil Hawkins could be something that goes into life on this turn. Thank you to our producer, Jareen, for letting me know of that one. And so it looks like there will be swinging first with the Luffy. The Luffy going to be a 7,000 power character. Bonnie using that effect to rest the Anel.
Yeah, immediately swings with that Luffy for 7K. Basil on that 7K, so it's not going to be a free block here. We'll at least have to give a 1K if he wants to block and then do that as well. But Keely here, we have 7 Dawn left, so he could have a 7-cost rush Anel on the back end of this as well if he has it. But let's see what the 7K going on live here, what Kenny wants to do. He's going to go up to 9 Dawn next turn.
One of the things that you do have to think about, especially on this swing, the Luffy did swing, so you're getting a 7,000 power swing in, but that Luffy can still use that activate main. So if you decide and choose to block with something like the Basil Hawkins, your Rogue is not going to get any value, right? But if you block with the Rogue, the Dellinger could be KO'd. So ends up taking the life, going down to 2 right there, opting not to use the blockers, really making the Enel here, Ron, choose which one to go with on that Luffy, and is going to go with the Rogue.
Yeah, it goes with the Rogue, draws that extra card from trashing that Luffy on there as well. So still has the untap one off, you know, the Bellinger as well. Has two down here for the Bunny. We're actually just going with that, with just a vanillist 9K here from the Enel side here. Don't see that too often here in a lot of Enel lists, but this one is going to be really good in this position.
With that 9,000 power character, it's going to be really strong to be able to get a lot of swings in, especially some big power swings that allow the pressure the Bonnie, Kenny over here, to either counter out, commit a ton of cards, utilize one of these blocks to maybe eventually see off a 7-drop Enel rush next turn, or take a life right here. And at 2 life, you're kind of like in this weird spot right now, and especially with 9 Dawn, is really thinking about that 9 cost Zoro, and is going to play that 9 cost Zoro right here, putting a ton of pressure on an Enel, and a crucial card in this matchup.
Yeah, crucial card here, and can he actually decides not even put the Enel at that 1 life here as well? Does have that. Oh, looks like he threw a little Dawn on the side real quick, but yeah, isn't gonna have a lot of the stuff. Does just have the Basil Hawking, so he can block with that 7K here. Does commit to that Zoro here and have that 1 Dawn up, so he can tap the Enel after this swing here. So pretty interesting position here. Enel at 2 life, so pretty safe here. Even looking at the Zoro is very safe in front of it at this point.
And there's even a good justification if you want to go ahead, swing this 7 cost Compote, I believe the character's name is, this 9,000 power character. You get to have the leader rested, but then you have all 10 Dawn to work with. That's something that you can play an ace, heal a life, and even though you don't get rush, you would at least get a ton of value, and that character would be able to stay active to battle with the Zoro the next turn.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting position from the from Kenny on the Bonnie player side. We're actually committing a significant amount of Dawn.
It looks like
here.
4 Dawn, so a 13 swing at lead.
Yeah, 13K swing at lead. Is he just going to take it? Because he gets his Enel tapped, but he just has 6 Dawn left to be able to play anything on the back end here. But we're still looking at the 13K.
And so with the 6 Dawn open, one of the things that you got to be thinking about is, Kenny, is Raigo. Raigo, a huge card. We saw it in the hand at the beginning of the game, and with this 9 cost Zoro on the field, we talked about how much of a threat it is. That is probably what the target is going to be, and even though this is a very telegraphed scenario, it's very easy to tell. As Kenny, you really got to be thinking about this.
Yeah, you really got to be thinking about this. Can you just take this? You can't just take this 13K swing here and go down to 1 life, unless you really think it's going to be the Raigo coming out here to take care of that Zoro, right? You took your entire last turn, didn't swing with your Bonnie, didn't swing with your Basil Hawkins to be able to put in this position, and you're looking at the Bear of the Gunner with the 13K swing and then this Raigo on the end.
It's going to be an interesting choice, but he chooses the life right there, not wanting to commit a ton of cards and already knowing before he even rotated his Dawn sideways. Just again, a telegraphed play. The Enel going down to 1 life now because of that Raigo effect, remember, and passing off the turn. So now both players at a full 10 Dawn right here. We see a Eustace Captain Kidd in hand, another great card that we know in this deck. But like I mentioned, that 8 cost Katakuri could be a threat in the coming turns. But you really have to deal with this Compote, I think it's called.
Yeah, it looks like we're sizing up just a 5K poke here from the Bonnie into the Enel leader. Gives him that 1K. Don't want to get into the sticky situation with using that Enel ability and not having enough. It looks like he's swinging another one. Swinging another 5K at Enel here. Only has 1 last swing here, so Enel maybe wants to take it, maybe not. But he would have to commit that blocker if he wanted to swing that 7K here. Looks like we do have an ace in hand if we can look at that Enel's hand. But we are committing to that 8 cost kid here, using his ability, putting another thing onto the board here. We're going to look at that 3 cost. What does that 3 cost do? That
3 cost is a Bartolomeo blocker right there. So going off of that Eustace Captain Kidd activate main effect, going to be really, really nice for just another blocker on the field. And especially when you rest one of the opponent's characters, that Bartolomeo, I believe, is going to draw 1, trash 1 on Kenny's, or on Kenny's turn. So unfortunately, won't necessarily work on the defense like I was maybe alluding to at the beginning. My apologies, but is going to be something that's very nice on your turn. So really thinking about now the Enel back at 10. Dawn is going to have to get rid of this kid if they want to swing into life.
Yeah, has to get rid of that kid. Something pretty interesting here is we know we have the 10 cost ace in Enel's hand here. So what he can start off with, he has a 9k swing into the Use This Kid. Use This Kid, you know, is that 8k thing. You can just simply 2k out of it here. But he's going to have the 8 cost Katakuri here to put it on the bottom here. Just get right through that Captain Kid here.
And so that Katakuri, my apologies, like I was mentioning earlier, is a great response to the kid because especially putting onto the bottom of the life, it's going to be a non-counter card, right? So when you're going for game, you're absolutely swinging away. That card is not going to help you to be able to win the game unless you have a plethora of zero-cost events in your hand.
Oh, we're looking at the last 2 Dawn here. He's going to commit it to that big one. He's going to tap that Enel, make sure he doesn't attack, and then we're probably going to see Kenny block with that one blocker here or take that last life that he doesn't know about. We know he has another Use This Kid in his hand by looking at the little peak of his hand right there. He can just reset this entire game, play another kid on that turn as well if he wants to. Let's see what he does here.
And here we go in here. I really like this swing from the 7 cost 9,000 power character on the Nell side because maximizing the amount of value of Dawn that you have, especially because you know Kenny has kind of been saving a little bit. We've talked in the past couple attacks about, you know, whether you wanted to take the life or counter out of it. So kind of holding a good amount of counter in hand. Going to be interesting to see what he chooses on here, especially when you have those blockers as well. It's either give up a blocker. Oh, swinging at the Dellinger.
He's swinging at the Dellinger the entire time. Yeah, can he does just give it up here. Does he not need to untap that one Dawn every single turn here unless he plays something, another character that does? I know he does probably want to play that 8 cost, the 8 cost kid again, but who knows what Kenny has here. Looking at the 10 Dawn turn here, we do have that 4 cost blocker that's going to untap the Dawn if he wants to go on that side. But
if he wants to play that 4-drop blocker, though, that means he's not going to be able to play these big bodies that compete with the Compote Vanilla, the Katakuri 8-drop here. So really an interesting spot right now, I think, for this Kenny and this Bonnie player. Interesting to see how he splits up this Dawn right here. Kind of splitting it up with like 6-1-3 in terms of this. Going to be curious to see what he decides to do.
Yeah, he does have another ECOS kid in his hand, but he might not come into it this turn. He's not, you know, we had the 2 big bodies on the Nell side, but not looking at so much pressure on that as well. But we know he does have that 10 cost kid, 10 cost ace in his hand here. Looking like a big swing. Nope, that does not dash that Dawn. It's just going to be a 5k poke here into the Nell.
And one of these things that you need to start doing, we haven't seen a ton of counter come out of the Enel's hand in this game. He's just been taking cards continuously. So kind of doing this 5k poke, at least getting 1 card out of this Enel's hand as they continue to go through this turn and try to map out what they need to do in order to get it. Could be another Basil Hawkins. I think that's another alternate Basil Hawkins in his hand right now. Maybe with this 6 Dawn, thinking about committing it to a 6 for the Basil and 4 for the 4-drop blocker or rogue.
Yeah, blocker, like he could have that play, use all 10 of his Dawn, untap the one with like at the end as well, so it has that one that he can tap down an extra big body. But we're looking at down 2 big bodies here from Enel as well, and you do need to commit to your board to be able to kill Enel at some point in this game. Enel has so many cards in his hand. Looks like we have a baby 5 here, so we'll search the top 5 cards here, trying to find an answer for this board here.
A Rosinante is really, really good. Part of the Don Quixote Doflamingo Pirates build. Mouthful to say for someone like me. Could be something that you grab in here and is able to really influence the board on these swings, right? If a 9-cost Yamato comes down or something that pops a character, you can opt for that. Rosinante instead to be able to save it. So really just looking around now. Still has a good amount of Dawn, 8 Dawn in general to be looking at for this game.
Yeah, it looks like the stuff, and then he is thinking about his turn, and they're looking and discussing something real quick. It looks like they called the judge over just to see what actually happens here.
Oh, and it looks like maybe thinking about the draw one, trash one as part of the Bartolomeo blocker right there. So trashing the Rogue, something that we thought that Kenny might be playing in this. It looks like he has another one in hand, though. Maybe really only thinking about needing one at this point.
Yeah, he does have another Basil Hawkins here in his hand. That is going to be that nice alternate art right there. Looks pretty nice. You know, Kenny with the drip, you know, he has all the alt arts here. You know, we know him in the local scene.
Oh, yeah. He's always trying to figure out trades. I'm pretty sure some of his Bartolomeos, like one of them is the pre-release one. I think that Dellinger might have been a pre-release Dellinger that I gave him as well. So Kenny doing his thing as always, but being 3-0 into this round is in a tough spot to try to stay undefeated with these big bodies that are continuously coming down.
He's kind of still sizing up this Hawkins in his hand here, but if he just plays the Hawkins, he doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough to really clear anything from his opponent's board or do anything right now. You know, we might be seeing a big swing from his Basil on there into the 9K here. Try to get at least some cards, maybe remove it from the battlefield here. Does need to commit something.
The problem is if you want to swing with this Basil, though, and he's just going to go ahead and rest this one, probably not swinging with any of them at all, is, again, you have to compete with the big bodies. So having to commit so much Dawn to be able to get rid of these characters, right, because they're so high-powered, you know, the Enel has a ton of cards in its hand. It's just a small amount of counter to be able to get rid or to take care of those swings that you give. So swinging off with this Compote first and then resting the Kana Curry, you're going to have to get rid of one or the other, so might as well swing with the bigger character. It's just going to be a block on the Bartolomeo, and it looks like this Enel leader going into the Baby 5, trying to clear board right now.
So very interesting thing is that he swings that Enel into the Baby 5. He does have double Hawkins here, so he can just block with the 7K here on the 5K swinging in there. But he's a little bit scared about this 10 cost ace coming in the back end.
I think especially when you have all 10 Dawn up, I think you're absolutely right. You have to be thinking about 10 cost ace right now in this game. Probably something that's coming in. He's going to rest the Basil Hawkins, rest all 10 Dawn, and here it comes, the new secret rare in OP07 to help him gain a life, and because he's at 2 or less life, he's going to be gaining Rush after that addition. So now life going to be equal at 2, and now you have a tough decision, honestly, as Ron. Do you swing at life, try to get him to 1 and really say, all right, here we go, it's game time, or do you try to continue to get rid of board and try to hit one of these Basil Hawkins?
Yeah, really interesting here. That's going to be I believe it's a 10K, right, on the ace here as well. So a 10K rush here as well. We go into a 7K. Let's see what he wants to choose to go at from Ron. Definitely going to be swinging in here. Does he want to go face? Does he want, you know, we couldn't even go into that baby, you know. That baby is going to be a high priority, getting that card advantage throughout the turn by turn.
The Baby 5 is going to continuously get like 2K counters and extra additions. He definitely, and so this is something that we've seen across both of the NL matches that we've seen, is really trying to hit these small searcher bodies. So excellent, you know, insight if you're looking to improve in your game, especially as a NL, really just valuing those. And now we move into Kenny on the 10 Dawn turn, but now he's only left with blockers at this point. So could swing with leader, but is left with blockers. Has another Basil in hand. Could just build a wall at this point of the 7K blockers, but the 7K blockers in what's the word that I'm looking for? The phrase. The bad side to that is that you don't have stuff that can stop something like the 10,000 power ace. And so after swinging that 5, Enel maybe not really worried about losing in this turn.
With the Hawkins here.
We're swinging with the Hawkins. So the Hawkins right now has to be going at life, can't hit any of these characters, and is going to go ahead and do the cycle. So maybe something like a Hody Jones in hand, right? Maybe just trying to say, you know what, I'm in a really bad spot. I'm just going to go for game at this point. So with that, Yamato going to the bin is going to gain that 1 extra life. And so another 7,000 power swing in right here. Could also see a 10-drop Doflamingo come down on this, but it's going to actually be a Eustace Captain Kidd.
Yeah, plays that Eustace Captain Kidd is going to be activating the ability here to put in that blocker here. And then he's going to put that thing there, so he has to swing into it, you know, buy himself a little bit of time, you know. Taps both of those Basil Hawkins, being able to get some cards out of Ron's hand here, try to put a little bit of pressure. He was at 2 life here after that ace, right? Has to put him back to 1 life, has to be able to get that 7K swings here to be able to pressure it right here. Does tap the 1 into the Bonnie to get him down. He does have that zero cost event here to get the plus 3K here to keep this going here.
The problem is, though, with this is that the Nell player has all 10 Dawn and 2 more bodies to swing with, right? So just going to be a face on this 8,000 power Katakuri swinging at the 8,000 power Eustace Captain Kid. So could just be a 1K counter out of hand, and it's going to be that a rogue.
Yeah, let's see how much Dawn is going to... But he taps another 10 Dawn.
It's going to be another ace. So another ace gives him another life, and he's going to swing now at the Kid. But especially with the blocker that you've got right there, the Rosinante, this is the final swing of the Enel on your turn, and you could guarantee that your Kid stays alive.
Yeah, this is an incredible amount of pressure here from the Enel side on the Bonnie here. You have 2 life. That's going to be upwards of 4 swings to try to kill the Enel from the Bonnie side here as well. And now, having all these big bodies out here, going back-to-back turns of that 10 cost ace here, putting in an incredible amount of pressure. We're still trying to see what Kenny wants to do from this the 10 cost ace swinging into the Eustace Kid here. Is he going to use that blocker? Is he going to let the Eustace Kid go?
And one thing that Kenny, it's not as simple as a use the Rosinante blocker, let the Eustace Captain Kid die. He's really trying to evaluate the value of the Eustace Captain Kid and thinking about his future turns, right? What is he going to be doing next turn? How, if he can't win in that game, how is Ron going to respond with the Nell? So thinking about keeping the Rosinante alive and countering out of this is going to have to commit a couple different counter cards, especially on this 10K swing. Have to commit either 2 2Ks or, I'm sorry, a 2K 1K,
yeah.
Right? And that's exactly what he's going to do with that Viola and that 1K.
Yeah, it does give him the 2K 1K here. Isn't it on tap here as well? Keeps that blocker for the next turn. Your opponent has 4 big bodies on the board plus his leader swing here. It's going to take a lot. You need that Kid for the defense. You need that 2 cost blocker for the defense as well. Let's see what Kenny can do. He's kind of sizing up. What can he do? Does he keep the 7K Basil Hawkins back? Does he swing with them? Let's see what decisions that Kenny can use right now.
And they use this Captain Kid. You talk about its defense. He needs it for offense right now. He needs to get rid of these bodies or hit life. I mean, because especially with the Enel leader effect, you're going to have 4 swings hit for life to be able to win on this turn. So really has to value on what he can do right now. And with a 7K swing right here, probably going at life is going to be taking that Enel down to 1. I think that's an easy take, honestly, if you're Ron right here. Don't want to give up the counter in your hand because you want to value the bodies. You want to save that counter for either the late end game or to be able to save these bodies if something like a Hody Jones rush character comes down, an extra swing, or something of the sort. We know that 10-drop Doflamingo is not an option right now because 2 Dawn was committed to the Bonnie.
Yeah, so a 10 cost Doflamingo would have been incredible on this turn as well. You have 4 things tapped from the Nell side. You could just swing you 100% tap down all those 4 things, but he doesn't have it. We're actually looking at an 8K swing here from the Basil Hawkins here, putting a little bit more pressure. He has a double 2K here from the Nell. Realizes if he takes this life, he's going to be in an incredible amount of pressure. Only has, I believe, 4 cards in his hand from the Nell side. The Bonnie, yeah, 5 cards actually from the Nell side. The Kenny only had 4 cards before he 2K 1K, so he has 3 cards in his hand. Really looking at the size of these attacks here. What can he do here? He does need to put enough pressure onto Nell, maybe to squeak out this game, maybe put another... He looks like he has one searcher in his hand. If he can search something up to for a blocker, maybe he can live through that extra turn, but it looks like he's going to swing 8K first at the Nell.
And one thing about this as well is you've got that Eustace Captain Kid there and Frankie is going off the trigger. So Frankie is going to be able to be played off the field because you're at 1 or less life and be able to draw a card. And then you use the leader effect. So a great drop, drawing and cycling in general. And I think a card still has to get trashed on the leader effect. I think our judge Malik got that before Kenny announced the attack over there. Shout out to Malik for getting his judge certification before this tournament so then we could host this. And really thinking about what card he wants to pitch right now. Kenny, he was going into that swing right away. I think that this has to be his game plan, right? And I don't think that's a secret at this point. So swinging 9 right now, that does mean that with this swing, he's not going to be able to use the Activate main to play another body like the 2-drop Rosinante or something like that to double up on there, but could be something. I wonder if we could see if a life is taken right here. The rest of the Dawn going to Rosinante. One thing that he has left open, though, with this counter out right here is if he's got a 4-dropper Rogue in hand, he's going to be able to drop that character, put another blocker on field, and then also have 1 Dawn left for the leader effect, and I think that's exactly what's coming on.
That's exactly what he has. He puts that 4-cost blocker here on top, so that 1 Dawn has 2 cards left in his hand, 2 life, and he's trying to keep this Useless Kid alive for the longest point possible. He said, we know he has 10 Dawn from the Nell side. It's going to be really close here. 2 cards in his hand, has double blocker, 2 life. How much destruction can this Nell do in there? So swing for the ace first, taps on the other ace. So both 10k swings are out of the way here, but he needs to see how does he resolve this first one here with 2 cards left in his hand.
And the problem here is, especially with 2 cards left in hand, still plenty of swings to go, and you only have 2 blockers active because you were so aggressive on the Hawkins. But deciding to use the Rogue as a block right now, I don't think Kenny has the counter in hand to be able to get out of 10s at this point, or maybe feinting that he doesn't, and so the final 10 that could be shown. Because think about it this way, right? You only have 2 swings left with the Compote and the Katakuri without committing any Dawn at all, right? If you get out of both of those right there, the Frankie and the Anel have to have Dawn to commit to be able to get rid of this kid. And so that means a big body is not going to hit the field, which could be a huge situation for you to swing the tide of this game. So it's going to be really curious to see how Ron reacts to this as time is winding down. Going to be an 8k swing right here. Does he have a 1k counter in hand? And he does. He's got the baby 5 and a 9k swing right here. Is this a 2k? It is. It's a scratchman of poo. And so now he's going to have to commit a ton of Dawn to get rid of this.
What's the third ace?
Another third ace is coming down. He's going to get rid of the Katakuri potentially. I don't know if I fully agree with this when the Frankie is on the field, but is going to be swinging there. That 10 at the kid is going to have to just say pass, and 2 life now is back on the NL. 3 aces have hit the field.
But key thing here, Anel only has 2 cards in his hand, has the 2 life here. So we're going to start off with the 7k swing here, maybe from one of these Basil Hawkins. He has 4 swings. All 4 of these swings need to hit to kill the Anel here.
And with only 2 cards in hand, we have not. Have we seen a Beige yet? Has he countered out with a Beige?
He has countered out with 3 Beiges, actually.
Ooh, 3.
He double 2K'd early, and then that last swing of the following turn, he does the 3rd one. We're going to look through the graveyard here. We're looking at 3 Beiges here. We have a 0-cost event. We have a Raigu here. We have a 5-cost ace. There's not a lot of triggers. There's still a couple of them left in the deck here. Kenny really counting, sizing up his 10 Dawn. He needs all 4 of these to hit to be able to get through here.
And the thing about the triggers that you were mentioning, you know, we talk about the Beiges in there, we talk about these 0-cost events. Thinking about the different ones that can pop characters, I don't believe there's a trigger that can pop a 6k character, right? So
no.
A Beige or a 0-cost would be able to almost seal the deal in this game, essentially. But we're just going to have to see. We're going to have to roll the dice. Kenny doing the math as the final turns of the game. We're going to be able to complete this game. No worries on this one. And really has to math it out. Really has to pull out the notepad and is going to swing 7 at life. So 7, if this is a 2k, 1k, this could seal the deal in this game. Maybe Ron, kind of thinking about the future turns, has to know that the Hawkins and the kids are going to be committed on these swings.
Thing here is, if he counters out with a 2k, 1k here, basically what he can do is actually go for board here because he wouldn't have any cards in his hand and be able to clear out, you know, at least a lot of the swings here. Bonnie's going to tap another one out of the way, so he can actually takes the first life here. Then we're going to swing 9 on the Useless Kid here.
And one thing that you have to maybe note, especially with a deck like Bonnie, is
uses
that
all 3 cards.
But one thing that could save him here, he still has an opportunity to win in 3 swings because of a card like Cody Jones. 0 cards in hand. A Basil Hawkins is going to be able to hit for life. They're going to have to trash that life in order to gain another life. And so the next Basil Hawkins would take that life. And a Cody Jones swing for 7 would win the game because there's nothing that you can do with 0 cards in hand. An absolutely crazy game. Is Hody his card in hand? It would seal the game. It doesn't look like it at this point, or else I feel like he would have played this out already.
Yeah, so
in
interesting
this
thing, he's already used 3 Dawn, so he has 7 Dawn left here. So we will have this useless Captain Kid being there, but if he puts 3 Dawn onto the Basil and then 3 more Dawn, he can take out 2 of the aces here. But Enel would have 4 swings. He could easily take out easily 10k on and 8k here. If Kenny only has 1 card in his hand, take it out, then you would have enough swings to be able to kill Kenny on the back end. So let's see what Kenny wants to decide here. He can eliminate a couple things here and keep that 1 card, or what that last card could be. Hody Jones would end the game here.
It's possible, though, that the last card we're seeing in Twitch chat, maybe some people that saw that last card, could possibly be something like a 10-cost Doflamingo in there. So Doflamingo, you wouldn't be able to play. It's a dead card in your hand if that's the case, and that may be why, you know, Kenny hasn't decided to swing with these yet, as we're in turns at this point, going to be thinking about where he wants to go on this, really trying to do the math of like, okay, can I survive on the swings? You know that one of your life is a useless Captain Kid, another dead card. So the only thing that could even remotely save you, I feel like, in your life is if that one face down life is a 0-cost event.
Okay, looks like he's sizing up the 3 Dawn, 3 Dawn. He could take out the two aces, keep 1 Dawn for that Bonnie effect, right? So he could, you know, take out those 2 10-cost ace on the very top. Looks like he has then you had 3 characters, and then no. If he swings that last ace at the useless kid next turn, he could tap down on one of those characters and then only have 2 swings left. So he wouldn't be able to kill Kenny, but he could maybe take out both of his Basil Hawkins because he only had that 1 card left. We'll have to see what else we can do here, see what Kenny wants to do with that last card. He's been thinking about it for a while. Okay, we're committing the 10k swing to one of those aces.
Going to be some free attacks right here, and is going to put it down to 2 for a Rosinante. So the last card was actually Rosinante, a blocker, which is nice, but the thing is, another ace lives, and so you're going to be able to rest one of them. You're going to be able to block another one, and potentially a second one with the Basil Hawkins. Really all going to depend on what this 1 card is. If this 1 card is the 4th ace, right, the 10-drop ace, that would really spell game at that point, wouldn't you think?
It was incredible because he did have a lot of Dawn to work with the previous turn, but playing that 3rd 10-cost ace kept him in this game to not be able to die if Kenny lived through it. But he doesn't swing the 2nd Basil Hawkins, so he has double blocker here, and he has a tap down on the Bonnie. So that's going to stop 3 whole swings from his opponent, so he only has 2 after that. Let's see what Ron is going to do here. He has that 1 card left in his life, 1 card left in his hand. He's going to start with an A with his Enel leader.
Really interesting to see a swing with the leader instead of one of the aces, because you'd imagine that one of your aces is going to go down. I mean, no matter what, one of your aces is going to go down on the swing, but I would have personally thought that the Compote would have been something that you would swing instead of the Enel. But I guess since you always know that the Bonnie is going to be resting probably one of these aces, it doesn't necessarily matter your order of swings in terms of this. So
I think the pretty interesting thing here is he's actually going to give up the useless kid on the first swing. Can only use with the opponent attack 1 per turn from the Bonnie here. We're looking like he has a 5k swing here.
And so now, especially with this kid gone, you can go ahead and start swinging at the Basil Hawkins or the Jewelry Bonnie leader. So maybe not expecting to see the kid go down in that turn. Maybe expecting to see the Rosinantes or the Basils block first in this one. Or maybe, well, Kenny has a 0-card hand, I thought, right?
Yeah, he has a 0 cards in his hand, so he can't counter out of this unless he wants to use the blockers here as well. We know Kenny's last life is going to be that kid. That's face up right there. We're looking at a 9k swing at the Basil Hawkins. He's just going to let it die here.
And so opting not to block, really forcing Ron right now to swing at the life, really trying to get either that useless Captain Kid back or just really try to find out what that last life is.
Yeah, 100%. He still has a significant amount of Dawn left, too. He has 7 Dawn left here. He's going to use 6 of them. Oh, he untaps it. He's still thinking.
The 6 could be a Rygo. Rygo would be able to get rid of the Basil Hawkins and allow another swing. You would still leave Kenny at 0 life overall. So it's going to be interesting as he takes this one. We can't see what the card is in hand, but we'll maybe see in this next turn.
Ooh, it's going to be another Vanilla here, and he's just going to actually play it out instead of keeping it in his hand. So looks like the hero play here. Because he doesn't have any card, because he doesn't have anything in hand, he can actually swing the 5 off first.
The 5 on the Rosinante is going to have to trash that card. It's a Flampe. A 2K is huge to get rid of.
He can swing the 5K with the Bonnie. He has no cards in it. Oh, Oh, Kenny's thinking.
Kenny really thinking about what he needs to do.
It doesn't matter. He has to swing the 5 here. Is this a
Swinging
trigger?
the 5
This would
is
be
going
the
to do
game.
it.
It's not a trigger.
It's not a trigger. Attaching the rest on the baseline. It looks like Kenny's got it. He's going out 4-0 after round 4 to maintain his undefeated status. What looked so bleak with 3 aces. The 3 10-drop aces prevails out of it. So many big bodies.
Such a close game there. Does the math at the very last turn. Knows that Nell doesn't have any cards in his hand because he played the vanilla, so doesn't have to play around the plus 2K here as well. The full 5 minutes of overtime to end the game on the final swing from the Bonnie player. What did we just see, Jake?
And one of the things that I really want to make a note on, and something that is very unique in Kenny's list, is the impact of Dellinger, right? We saw Dellinger in the early games really be able to maximize the amount of Dawn efficiency, right? Bring back 1 Dawn up at the end of every turn to be able to rest one of the characters on case. Stop, I'm a little bit animated, but to be able to rest another character on the side of the field. So an excellent job. An exciting game for all as we move into the late stages of this tournament. Thank you so much for watching on this. Don't worry, we're going to have round 5 soon. We're going to try to move into round 5 because we were in overtime. So thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're currently in round 5 of our store regional here in Las Vegas, hosted by the People's Card Shop. Quick update, being in round 5, there are currently 4 XOs going into these last 2 rounds, and we're going to see one of them on stream. It's going to be 2 red-purple laws. There's going to be a red-purple law mirror, and the other 2 are Bonnie and Enel. What do you think with these 2 matchups? Obviously, red-purple law means we're going to see a red-purple law in the finals, and then a Bonnie versus Enel matchup after that.
Well, we saw how the last Bonnie versus Enel match went, and that was insane.
Yep.
But like talking about like our top picks, like your top pick was Bonnie and RP Law, and I'm like, it's looking pretty good.
We got a Bonnie believer coming in very
Believer,
soon.
Who's got Basil Hawkins?
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see. So obviously RP Law is going to be one of the decks going into the finals, and then the deciding factor is going to be the Bonnie versus Enel matchup. And it looks like there's a repair.
We're repairing.
So I spoke too soon, and
mirror.
It looks like the Bonnie is actually going to play into the Law, so there's a chance that we may not see Red-Purple Law in the final. So we're going to have Bonnie versus Law, and then the Law versus Enel. So I
want to see the Enel one. I want to see how Enel feels about.
Yeah, we'll see which one's going to be popping up on stream very shortly. But what I will say is that as a Red Purple Law player, it's going to be very awesome to see these matchups take place. Red Purple Law, as a lot of you may know, in my opinion, is the best deck in the format. The combos that you could do, I think you saw mine and Jarine's matchup on the stream.
I was just bricked up. That's all it was. It was just bricks.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experience with that matchup, so I know how to play against it. It could be a little bit oppressive depending on, like that turn I had where I played Sunday into Bon Clay, into Shariah, pretty broken. Yeah. But going into these matchups, it looks like our feature match is Bonnie versus RP Law.
All right.
Alrighty, so ideally, when you're playing against this matchup, I feel like the Law just wants to play its game, kind of be careful of playing Bon Clays if it's just going to be rested very easily. Sometimes you would bait out a Bon Clay when you have another body that you don't want to be rested to try to get the target on there. But usually you save the Bon Clays for after the Bonnie abilities if you think they're going to be playing, like, let's say a 10-drop Dofi. But one of the key cards for Bonnie going into RP Law is none other than the 7-drop menace himself, Hody Jones.
Hody Jones, of course it is. That is such a card.
Yeah, different Bonnie players I've heard play RP Law, play against RP Law a little differently. The games I've played, they typically try to starve them out a little bit more and then have turns where Bonnie's just swinging at the bodies, forcing counter out of hand, getting them down to low counter, and then eventually if they drop a Hody Jones and they rest, let's say, a Bon Clay and a Eustace Captain Kidd, an 8K swing into a 6,000 power Eustace Kidd usually goes through. So, and on that note, a lot of RP Law players play RP Law very differently. Me personally, I like to ramp up as much as possible, then start using effects. Some of them like to just use effects immediately. So 7K swing goes through, probably popping down a Gordon. So here's interesting. I think he's expecting the Bonnie to play a body that he's going to use the Raise Max on. and then summon something, so a preemptive. But that move right there is the reason why you do not do that. And unfortunately, David's going to learn his lesson today. The Bonnie plays the 1-drop Scratch Mana Poo, which rests an opponent's character that costs, I believe, 2 or less. Or one, yeah, 2, I believe it's 2 or less. So that right there is one of the moves that is extremely punishing for RP Law players when they play a Raise Max on their first 2 turns thinking it's going to be safe.
Oh, never play the Rage Match. What other, are there any matchups that you play the Raise Match?
Some of them you can if you think if you have a large, in my opinion, if you have a large hand and you're trying to get set up for maybe a Reiju, so you have those 5-card threshold, then that's something you want to do. But a lot of the times, if it's your only one and you play it and your opponent answers it, you're in a very difficult position.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Tap in 5. Do we got a Sunday? We do have a Sunday. One of my favorite cards in the deck. Ramp and Draw. Awesome card. So now the RP Law player is going to go into their next turn. Oh, we're doing a minus. We got a Sachi. Sachi Penguin. Sachi Penguin. Sachi Penguin. That's
the
just
bros.
Yeah, the Gordon play right there gets punished by Scratch Mana Poo. So for those of you who play RP Law, going into your Bonnie matchups, just know that the Bonnie player is not afraid to use a 2K to get rid of your Raise Max. So going into this next turn, RP Law has 2 attacks plus the leader, so he's going to get 2 attacks in if the Bonnie uses their Bonnie effect. Bonnie thinking about probably playing a Cavendish maybe, but going 5, Law should, yeah, I was going to say, Law should probably take this one. And looking at their 5 Dawn turn, possible Cavendish. Nope, 4 for
Rouge.
Good old Rouge.
Free Dawn at the end of the turn.
Okay, so just ending the turn with 3 active Dawn. Could have used, could have done maybe a search there, and then have the other Dawn active once the search is done. But opting for just the Arusha. Now the question is, did David have another Gordon or Raise Max in hand? So I think here, depending on how you want to do your turn, you might want to go 5 first. Oh, we got another Sunday. Hello.
Another ramp, another draw.
Another ramp, another draw. So that's going to bring our RP Law player now to 8 Dawn this turn. So with later ability, he'd be going down to 5. Which would mean he'd be at 7 Dawn the next turn after that.
Perfect Dawn for Ace if they play Ace.
Yeah, 7-cost Ace is a possibility in these decks. It's always possible. I don't run it personally. All right, so we got a 5. So it's probably going to be 5-7 coming out. So Ricky thinking about, oh, no, he decides to swing 6. So looking at a 6-6 possibly. I think David might be a little bit upset about him using a 2K to get rid of the Raise Max and saying, you know what, you got more 2Ks? Let's see him. I think I would have been fine with a 5-7, though.
Right.
Obviously, it'd be a counter and a take. So right now, he's just fishing for 2Ks. So in this case, he does get a 2K out of it.
6 for 2.
So I think he's thinking about, oh, no. Okay, so he did not have a Gordon. He's just going to use ability for a Bond Clay, maybe? Yep. Yeah. Bond Clay comes down for the ramp, and then this would be a 7K swing coming in with the Sachi and the Penguin.
Oh, that's why. 6-7 instead of 5-7.
Very good utilization of the Bond Clay. Getting that ramp active in. So even with the Dawn minus effects, RP Law is currently at 6 Dawn going to 8.
Yeah. I wonder how he feels mentally. I know that as an RP Law player, losing your Raise Max first turn is always frustrating.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think with the way that turn played out, that might have been his only one, unless he's trying to save it, maybe thinking he doesn't want to get trapped by a Eustace Captain Kidd. But a Corazon 8-drop. So Corazon 8-drop gets rested to summon a Cavendish, which activates 2 Dawn. And now he's going to swing 6, likely at one of the bodies, start the slowly whittling down the Law, getting some cards out of hand. So the Corazon, for those of you who do not know, 8-drop, 9,000 power. I believe where it's, no, 8,000 power. And when it's rested, he can summon a 5-cost body. Also, his 5-cost bodies now that are active cannot be KO'd by effects, but Law does not KO. So that will be nullified, essentially.
Still a very good play to get that Dawn active again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking hopefully David has a Raise Max of some sort to at least answer maybe the Cavendish this next turn. So he gets the active Dawn. So right now, the good thing, though, is that Bond Clay is currently a raw 8K body by itself. So it might behoove David to maybe even just put 2 Dawn underneath the Bon Clay and swing into the Rosinante for 10 or possibly more. But like I said, that one raise max, hopefully he has another one and he can get rid of at least the Cavendish, maybe go for board this turn. Okay, yeah, he was at 8, so he's going into his 10 Dawn turn. So the Bonnie Ricky going into their 10 Dawn turn, while Law currently sitting at a comfortable 8 Dawn for right now. So David Roy, okay, playing 4. Okay, gonna raw play the Reiju since they're both at the same amount of Dawn, less than 5 cards in hand. Searching, I think he's searching for another raise max.
Right.
I really think that David got punished very badly, unfortunately. I learned that lesson the hard way, but oh, we're tapping one. We found one. Okay, there it is. Whew. All right, so now he's thinking about what he wants to minus. He's going to minus the Cavendish. Yep. All righty, Cavendish does get minused. So I'm assuming he's going to use the effect now in some sort of combo and then swing. And you got to utilize that Bon Clay first, otherwise it's just going to get rested.
Then it'll be easy pickings the next turn.
Yeah.
Going back down to 1K.
So thinking about it right now, I'm not sure how many cards Ricky has in their hand currently. I know they used a couple of cards already. You got to search off and use the 2K. So I'm pretty sure their hand's pretty healthy. Right now you're looking at a possible... Oh, where we go? Are we going to clear the Arouge? Maybe that's what we're doing. Yep. Going to copy that attack. Going to rest something. Sunday, okay. Might be setting up for a Doflamingo turn, but I think he's going to be able to do something else a little bit better depending on what he has in hand. So that's going to die. Yep.
8K into a 5K.
Yep. All right, so we know the Cavendish is going to get bottom. With 3 Dawn left, he has 2 more attacks unless he has something like a Kid Killer, and he wants to try to get him down to 2 life to utilize that Kid Killer on the summon. So I'm thinking the line here is a 6-7. Hopefully get him down to 2, and then come in with the rush Kid Killer. So he does get him down to 2 already. Oh, no. 6K did not get countered, so this set is welcoming in a 7K. I don't know if that was a bait or not, but it looks like he does have 2K, 1K. Okay. Now the question is, do you want to press the offense? Do you want to -3, get rid of the Cavendish, and play down the Kid Killer now? Let's see. There it is. Yep. 7K swing to face. Does Ricky have the counter? Okay, I'm surprised with that much counter in hand that he took the 6K swing. But either way, he was able to get out of it. Now he has a big board to deal with. The Rosinante could be rested on play or activate main. I forgot which one, but I think he's going to be utilized. He's going to be utilizing that Rosinante to swing into something. So yep, go ahead, swinging into the Kid Killer. Question is, does David want to counter it? If he doesn't, and it dies, it is welcoming for a 10-drop Dofi, which it looks like he's going to do. 3 characters frozen. Well, 2 characters and a leader frozen.
3 cards left in hand.
So far, pretty standard. Aside from the early game, scratch him into poo, getting rid of that raise max. And situations like this is why raise max is so valuable. Sure, you might run 7 to 8 of them, but in situations like this, maybe you don't want to bottom deck the Rosinante, but you want to bring it down to a 5 and start pressing it. Now, the Bonnie looks like he only has 3 cards in hand, but there's not much I think the Law could do to maybe go for a game. This is why I think in this spot, like a Gordon swing 7 at the Rosinante is such a good play because it forces your opponent to get rid of cards. But it looks like 5's going to come down for a possible Queen or Kid. Queen will be great here to draw some cards. Let's see what he's thinking. It is a Queen. -1, draw 2, trash 1. Queen's also a blocker. RP Law also sitting comfortably at 3 life.
Yep. Let's see.
Discards an All Sunday. Okay. Plays a few all those. I think he plays probably 3 All Sundays. 2 Dawn. Does he swing 7? Go for face. Set up for lethal next turn. With David being at 3 life and a healthy stack of cards in hand, I don't think a Hody Jones is possible unless he's bricked up. So it looks like we're going to go 7. We're thinking about it. 7 of face.
7 of face. Oh.
Thinking about taking it with 3 cards in hand. I think he's debating now what Ricky's debating now what he's going to do on his next turn. to either remove, freeze, or set up some sort of wall. But he is going to take it. Does he get a trigger? No trigger. One of the triggers in his deck is the 0-cost event.
Right.
Which can KO a rested 4 cost. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I think at this stage of the game,
Another kid killer.
We are just going to go on the offense here and swing another 7, forcing the counter out of hand. Ricky's going to go to 3 cards, 1 life. David has a full board. Well, he has 2 cards now, going to draw into his 3rd one. And David has a full board and 3 life. This is looking a little sketch for our boy Ricky.
5, but we have a free 6K block if we need to.
Okay, so he swings 5. Looks like it might be a
8 into kid killer. Okay.
might be another Dofi. I don't know if that does it though, because another Dofi just freezes 3, and then the Law still has 2 attacks.
Oh, looks like we're just going for board
Oh, we're going
control
for
again.
board. Okay. So go for board control, freeze him.
Just trying to
So
gas
he
him
are-
out, get the cards out of his hand.
You're
and play
100%
the long
correct.
game.
Yeah, but you know, using 2 kid killers, I guess Ricky at this point is putting him on a. You already used 2 kid killers. Surely you don't have more.
Surely, but the amount of times I've played against RP Law and they've played all 4 kid killers, I'd be pretty rich if I had a nickel.
Yeah, at this point, Ricky is a little more better set up next turn to possibly go for game, whereas David has to use this queen if he wants to press the offensive. If he decides to play a blocker, the problem is our good 7-drop friend, what's his name?
Days? Or
Hody Jones?
Hody Jones?
Yeah. Oh. How you
Sorry,
forget?
I forgot which
I don't
one.
know. I guess I played too many RP Law versus Bonnie matchups where Hody Jones just gives me nightmares. So,
Hody Jones gives me nightmares in any matchup. If it's green, ugh.
well, even in matchups where I'll be playing against Bonnie as RP Law, I'll try to set up like 3 blockers to try to avoid a Hody Jones, and you know the math still gets there for them even after they Hody Jones. So, just difficult spots to be in. So. He's thinking about what to do. It looks like he's tapping all his Dawn.
Is that 5 Dawn?
All right, so we're going to play it. It looks like we're going to try to wall up. Interesting to see what he summons off of this, or if he even does a minus effect, maybe trying to say, you know what, I want to save this Dawn. Granted, -3 would only be -2 because he has the Eustace Kid, but does he want to just have his hand there, have his 2 blockers up, keep the Dawn ready to go for next turn? Nope. No, maybe? Yep. Okay, so he is going to -3. So now...
There
setting
you
up
go.
3 blockers,
3 blockers
to defend against the Hody Jones. Let's get that active Dawn back. But right now, it looks like after that minus, he's going to go into 5 Dawn next turn, which I think is okay because you're at 5 Dawn, 5 bodies. A Hody Jones does not get there now with the blocker, but if David does not have enough counter in hand, it could possibly mean the game. So let's see what Ricky's got up his sleeve right now.
2 cards left in hand? Or is it 3? On Ricky's side.
I believe it's back to 3 because he had 2, and then he played the Dofi. So now he's back at 2 cards in hand. So the way he has his Dawn laid out, I don't know if he's gearing up for the attacks. And oh no,
We got another 10 Dawn.
oh he's swinging into the bodies.
Swinging into the bodies. We still have 2 free blocks if he wants to do that, but if he does that, he's inviting giant swings into his life.
So the only other thing I see here is that Ricky might be contemplating using a Hody Jones here. No, he can't because he goes to 0 life. Oh man. If he was going to use the Hody, he'd have to use it to try to go for game. But yeah, we're just going to clear board. I think Ricky is out of options right now. I don't really see a line that Ricky could do because a Hody Jones puts him down to 0 life, and that means that Law could just swing 10, 11, depending on what he rests. And Ricky only with 3 cards in hand right now. All right, he's going to go 10 to face. David is likely going to just take the life. Don't see a reason why not to, and then just try to go for game next turn. Yep, 10 to life. Take again. All righty, what's the play here? Maybe Hawkins and a blocker? Maybe Hawkins and a blocker.
6.
All right, Basil Hawkins. Yep, and then 3 Dawn, which would leave him with 1 card in hand.
4.
Oh, man.
He just passes.
I don't know, though. He just passed. Did he, or is he still
Pass
thinking?
with 4 Dawn.
Oh, man, I don't know. I think this just might be the math win for David here. especially having that Eustace Captain Kid up. I know one of the big things I like to do with the deck is swing with the Kid first into my Bonnie matchups because it's a 6K, and also because it's swung, it avoids any sort of KO effects. And it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, we do have our second of the undefeated matchups just finished, and it is going to be a Jewelry Bonnie in the finals. So depending on the winner of this match, we will see our final. So one of my picks for the two decks did get in, and we're going to see right now if David is going to take this down. Okay, swings with the 7. He does have the counter, no cards in hand. So what we're happening right now is that if he has a rush, he's got it. Oh man. Doreen's locked in right now. He's like, what? He's
I'm
like,
trying
what?
to calculate. Well, we have 2 more swings, right? If he just spreads his Dawn 5-5-7-7.
He only has 2 more swings left with a life and a blocker on the field.
Sometimes I forget that Basil's the blocker.
So, man, I mean, the only random thing I could see happening. Oh, okay, he's gonna swing 5. Just see if he takes the block. Does David have a rush character?
It is always possible for Killer, which is always ridiculous.
Well, he used 2. Oh wait, no trigger.
Because he does have 4 Dawn.
Alrighty, so not. Oh, is that?
Oh. Blocker. We have 2 blockers going into the next turn.
I'm a little confused. I guess for me, when I look at this type of play, if it wasn't going for game, then it would be a matter of like, let me just, I guess, try to wall up and hope for the best. But now he's got 2 blockers and he has to survive. Nope. I think we're gonna have a Bonnie mirror match. I don't know what David has up his sleeve right now that could really defend against 5 attacks just on board without any of the cards in his hand.
It is just a mathed out situation from now.
Yeah, I think,
especially with giant bodies like that, the math is pretty easy.
I think with the last turn, I think when David was really thinking about if he wanted a minus to do something and he played the Shariah, I think David could have had it if he did not minus.
And we scoop.
So we're going to scoop, and it's going to be Bonnie versus Bonnie in the finals of this Las Vegas Store Regionals. Wow, what a game. I think that is something there. David unfortunately had that opening game move punishment with the Scratch Mana Poo. And the second thing going into that matchup as well was, I think, that last turn. Dawn utilization is so important for RP Law, and I think if David put him on the Hody, which is why he did the -3 summon Shariah, but I think if David had that 3 Dawn extra going into the next turn, those swings would have been different, and I think RP Law would have taken it down. But great job by Ricky, utilizing his big cards, making sure that he had control of the game most of the time, and then David just was not able to stabilize towards the end.
It is pretty crazy. All of us saying that RP Law was the strongest deck in the format, and we avoided any RP Law mirrors to the point where we were like, oh, we're probably going to run into a mirror no matter what. But we didn't get in one because of the repair, and then both Bonnies going through. It's a Bonnie mirror, not an RP Law mirror.
Man, I'm going to say that I think I might have jinxed it when I said, oh, we got 2 RP Laws. We're going to have an RP Law in the finals. So that was my fault. Sorry, all of my RP Law players out there. I'm sure there's more haters than likers of RP Law. And yeah, well, one of the things too going into the next set, obviously with Black Maria, is that stuff like that where you can -3 Dawn or minus your Dawn whenever. It's super easy to do. Whereas now you really have to be cognizant of, what am I losing? Yes, you're gaining a body, but losing that 3 Dawn when you're going for game next turn hurts a lot. So either way, we got a Bonnie mirror going into the finals. We're going to have our host with the mostest, Mr. Jake, coming in here with Peter for this last call match. And we will see you guys in round 6. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you all.
And so now we've got just about the event underway in here. Players cutting each other's decks, getting their starting hands right here. We'll have Peter in a moment on the stream as well alongside me. But final round in here. Excellent, excellent showcase. Bonnie doing a great job in this tournament to be able to showcase itself as one of the better OP07 decks, and especially meta call for this event. So it looks like, or having trouble to see who goes first in this one. Not clear exactly on who wants to go, but Kenny opting for a mulligan. So the mulligan is going to be taken. Ricky
keeping the hand to solidify in this start. And so, Peter, what is going to be one of the biggest things that you have to think about in the bonding mirror?
So this bonding mirror is going to be pretty interesting, right? So we need to have multiple big bodies from both sides and really trying to keep your opponent's big drops in check, right? Big thing, 8 cost Eustace Kid. There's going to be that 10 cost Doflamingo. Those are going to be the big power cards that are going to be able to swing the matchup on the side. If you swing too many big bodies into your opponent's 8 cost, and then you get 10 costed, and then it's just over. It's just over. You really need to be able to like get it in there, play a whole bunch of big bodies, and then freeze your opponents. So that's going to be the key for this match for both sides.
And so just about underway in this one, just getting everything settled, you know, especially for our stream match. We're holding up just a smidge, and it looks like they're off and underway. 35 minutes on the clock. It's just going to be a pass for Kenny going first. And so now Ricky opting to, in this, go second right here. We'll see if he's got a 2-Don play.
Yeah, he starts out with a baby 5 and be able to search it on his 2-Don turn right now. Pretty interesting. Kenny did actually not have a searcher on turn 1 of the game. He would have played it if he did have one. But it looks like it's a miss, actually, from the BB5 on turn 1 of the game for Ricky.
So now Kenny at 3-Don going to be swinging all 8 at this baby 5, saying, you know what, this is not going to stay on the field. And so the Bonnie on the left side, I got to make sure I say left or right on this one. Hopefully I don't get it mixed up. Ricky now at 4-Don right here is going to be attaching 3 and swinging 8 just like Kenny.
Yeah, big thing on this matchup is going to be those 1-cost searchers, right? How many activations can you get in one game is going to be super key. We already see Ricky miss the first one. Kenny has not had a 1-cost searcher yet, and until he plays one, he's going to swing 6K at the opponent.
So this 6K swing is going to take a life, not going to commit 2K, and that Bartolomeo is going to be coming on the field. One of the new cards of OP07 alongside the Jewelry Bonnie leader. Going to be good for cycling if able on here. Now on the 6-Don turn for the player on the left, Ricky.
Yeah, 6-Don turn here. He has a couple options here that he can do. You really want to keep with that 1-Don as much as possible, right? He has a Cavadine. This is going to be the one that is going to like make 2 rested into active, and he's going to use those 2 onto his leader and swing 7, and then he's going to actually get tapped down instantly. This actually might be a little bit of an oversight here from Ricky being able to play that and not just swinging a 5K first, but wants to get that 7K swing, takes the life here from Kenny, but has that tap thing here. He can swing 8 into that tapped creature.
And so that Cavendish there rested, really just valuing, trying to take the life, I feel like Ricky was on there, trying to stay ahead on the life race at this point. Ricky should be at 4 life overall, did take one earlier there. So now here we go at 7-Don, I believe at this point. Hody Jones now officially active. We see that alternate art, Hody Jones peeking in Kenny's hand. Might want to take note of that for later in the game, but does have a Basil Hawkins as well. So Hody Jones is going to be played super early, going down to 2 life at this point, going to be resting that Dawn to let the Bonnie leader swing. And so swinging at that Cavendish, it looks like, going to counter out of that one. And then just a 5K swing at life, going to put Ricky down to 3. And so passing off the turn now at 8 Dawn overall right now. Overall. We're going to see what we can do in this.
Yeah, Kenny really valuing trying to get a big body on the field. Takes that extra life to get Hody Jones to have rush here, and swings 8 at the captain, getting 2 cards out of Ricky here, and then gets to take that free life with the 5K on 5K swing from the Bonnie on Bonnie. Let's see what he can do at 8 Dawn right here. He's going to use 7 Dawn right here, leave 1 up, but he's also going to do the Hody Jones, taking the life here. Another incredible play here. So let's see if he wants to swing it at the blocker or if he wants to swing it at his opponent's Hody Jones here. He's only going to take a 1K if he swings at the Hody Jones, but he's going to swing that 6K at the blocker here on tap 2. He can then use those 2 onto his own Hody Jones to get 2 cards if Kenny wants to keep his Hody Jones around.
There hasn't been a lot of counter that has come out of Kenny's hand, so you'd have to imagine that he's got something to potentially get out of this Hody Jones swing if he decides to do it, but decides to swing 7 and go into life, I believe. I believe the Hody Jones is an 8,000 power character. So with 1 Dawn left, we could see a swing from Hody, and that could be it. It all depends on if Kenny wants to take the life or not. And here's the thing. If Kenny counters out of this 7K swing, he has less counter to get out of a Hody Jones out of Hody Jones battles. So really thinking about here, what's more valuable, having 2 life right now or having the counter in hand? We see the 0 cost event in hand. The 0 cost event would be able to get out of this swing pretty easily, putting you up to 8,000 power as a leader, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, seems like Ricky just said, screw this Hody Jones battle. I'm going face here. Go swing 7 and then 8 straight at face here. Kenny only with 1 life left, and he has double hit. He's facing down double body plus the body swing here. 9 Dawn here. He's going to go with Hody Jones with an 8K swing here, probably into the Cav Dean here, if I would have to guess. Yep.
And it is going into that Cavendish, going to be resting the leader off of that. But this 8,000 power swing going into Cavendish, which is a 6,000 power, going to have to commit a couple cards for this. And once again, we're going to see a 2K, 1K combo come in the second time, I believe, in this game already, keeping this Cavendish alive. And so an 8-drop kid is going to come down, going to rest to put down a card. Looks like it could be Bartolomeo or the Dellinger, and the Dellinger is going to be able to get an active Dawn at the end of the turn after your last Dawn gets attached to the kid, forcing now Ricky to swing at that kid.
Yeah, this is one of the differences in Ricky and Kenny's deck. Kenny has decided to go with that Dellinger. That's going to put a active Dawn at the end at every single turn, right? But this is going to be a huge play because he needs to hide behind this Eustace kid here. You might see a huge swing from the Hody Jones here into that kid, because if he doesn't kill this kid here, he's going to get tapped down without that last resource from Kenny's side. So is that Cavdine or the leader is not going to be able to swing a second time here, so he might just want to try to kill this using Captain Kid and then pass the turn.
And it looks like maybe eyeing up, he had 10 Dawn, I believe. There's 3 and 5 right there. So eyeing up about 8 Dawn, I believe, at this point. So really thinking with 8 Dawn where he could go, splitting 2, 3, and 5. Has a couple different options in this deck, especially around the mid-range Dawn in terms of, 5s, 6s, things like that, 4s. A lot of good ones in the deck for Jewelry Bonnie. So maybe eyeing up another Cavendish. Cavendish could be something that's played on here.
But the Bonnie onto the Hody Jones here.
The
so
Bonnie
not going to come out.
Is going to freeze or stun this Hody Jones, so not going to have to worry about that Hody Jones swing next turn. And it was thinking about attaching 2 to the Cavendish. The Cavendish would be able to go ahead and swing at that Eustace Captain Kid, and you would get 2 Dawn refreshed. Excellent insight and sequencing as well of playing the Bonnie before swinging with something like the Cavendish.
Yeah, but the caveat of that is because he has that 1 up for the Bonnie, he's going to be able to tap. So you actually could go Dawn negative on that play. So he decides to go 9K here into that Eustace kid. He's going to get a 2K, and then he's going to swing 8 at it as well. Is he going to get an additional 1K from Kenny? Does he really value keeping this Eustace kid here?
It's all going to depend on if Kenny decides to counter out in this hand. Seems like an instrumental part in this game plan up to this point. Our judge noting that the Hody Jones is stunned going into the next turn. Shout out Malik. And we'll see if Kenny decides to do it, and opts for pitching a Cavendish of his own. So not going to be having Cavendish now at a full 10 Dawn right here. Now Doflamingo is active, right? It would be able to rest 3 different bodies, all but that Jewelry Bonnie character right there if he does have it in hand. But thinking of attaching 1 Dawn somewhere, maybe playing the 9-cost Zoro. We see that alternate Zoro flashed in his hand. Could be a good card to put down and really put Ricky on a clock.
What we're really thinking right now is how, as Kenny is, how does he win the game here? He's going to swing 9 at the Cavdine here. He's going to get tapped on the leader as well. Doesn't go for it goes for the leader instead of the
Dellinger?
Dellinger.
The Dellinger, though, you're not really worried as much on
double
that swing.
2Ks out
and
of it.
So double 2Ks, it's so much counter in the Ricky's hand, and Ricky at the beginning of the game did miss that first baby 5 search, so his hand just full of 2Ks on this. At least 4 of them have been pitched so far in this game. So really thinking now, maybe pivoting out of the idea of the 9-cost Zoro. You see him splitting the 3 and 6 on there. Could be playing a Jewelry Bonnie character of his own, right? Could be something in response. Could be a bunch of different options for this deck. So we'll see where he goes right here.
Yo, tapping the 9 for that Zoro here. Kenny basically saying, the only way I can win this game is to not die this turn and swing 3 times with this Zoro itself. That's the way he's going to get out of this game, is to be able to try to take out all the cards from Ricky here. Ricky's using an incredible amount of 2Ks, an incredible amount of countering out with this Cav Dean and stuff to try to keep the body. But Kenny says, if you don't have that much counter left, I'm going to swing 3 times with the Zoro if possible.
And especially with the Eustace Captain Kid on the field, you know at least one of those swings is going into that big 8,000 power body. So depending on how much counter Kenny has in hand, we know he's got a Basil Hawkins right there. We saw it flashed right away. Can't really tell what the rest of the cards are in his hand, but we do know that it could spell trouble. And so attaching a lot of Dawn to this Hody Jones. I think that was either 4 or 5 Dawn right here. So would have to be a ton of counter just trying to get rid of this card right away. And so using the leader effect to rest the Cavendish right there. Doesn't want to give Ricky any extra Dawn. I do like that play, but the kid is going to go down.
Yeah, have to commit a serious amount of Dawn onto that Hody Jones to be able to kill that Eustace Captain Kid immediately here, but does tap down the Cavendish. We only have 5 Dawn remaining from Bonnie's side here, so he can go 8 and 8, maybe 9 and 7 if he wants to, for the last 2 swings here if he wants to go after Kenny's life, or he can try to see if he can swing off that Hody or play a blocker if needed.
And I think the big point that you brought up right there is this big decision on whether or not you go for Hody Jones, and that's exactly what he's going for. That 10 right there, you swung big into the Eustace Captain Kid, and so you know that there's a little bit amount of counter, and he decides to counter out of it right there, keeping the Hody Jones alive. And here we go. Full 10 Dawn turn. Now the Zoro is there. Multiple swings underway for this character. Really interesting interactions with the Jewelry Bonnie as well.
So very interesting thing here is he actually has a 10 cost Doflamingo in hand. What that can do, just starts off with this 9K. If Ricky commits too much Dawn and too much counter early, he can't just get every single thing tapped on this turn. He might not be able to win.
And so with that, taking that life right there, not opting on the first Zoro swing to use the when attacking, is going to probably use it on the activate main earlier. Now swinging again, and here's another thing. The Jewelry Bonnie hasn't used leader effect yet for Ricky, so not opting to leave any of these open. No life left. Going to be restanding by resting 2 Dawn and just going ahead and swing the Zoro for game right here, potentially.
Yeah, he's going to swing the Zoro for, it looks like 6 Dawns onto this. There's going to be a 15K swing into the Bonnie. He didn't use the leader ability because he wanted to try to get the last thing, but he's going to
go ahead and swing the thing with the last Dawn that you need to use, and it looks like he's got it. Kenny has got it right there. So much non-counter in hand, or little counter in hand, and the Zoro really paying off for him at that point. That 9-cost Zoro. Excellent, excellent job by Kenny. And honestly, such a quick game.
Yeah, it's such a quick game in this mirror that usually goes pretty long. Ricky just didn't have the big dice to commit here, so we tried to get a lot of those 2Ks, a lot of those 1Ks onto that Captain, keep it around, and try to pressure into Kenny's life total a lot of the time. But as you saw, the Eustace Kid blocked the entire turn, had to swing into that Eustace Kid, kept it a long time for with all of Kenny's 2K counters on there and a couple blockers here, and was able to turn that game around. Said, you have to kill this Eustace Kid here, and I'm going to play this Zoro, and I'm going to kill you the following turn, and that's what he did that turn.
And it's really interesting as well when you talk about like the early stages of the game, right? When he decided to play down that Zoro, I had mentioned it earlier, Ricky had done a 2K, 1K counter out multiple times before that sequence.
And
so
a double 2K earlier on the 9 to the 6K swing.
Exactly. So really, Kenny recognizing that, especially with the counter that is coming out of Ricky's hand, this Zoro could win me the game, and it exactly did that on that turn. Really insane forward thinking.
Yeah, Ricky, you in the mid-game used 5 to 6 2K counters to try to get out of these swings, but did not have the counter after for that Zoro 15K swing at the end of the game, costing him the game at the end as well. So, great game here with a Bonnie Mirror in the final. Who could have guessed?
A Bonnie Mirror in the final round.
Finals round of this tournament here. But congrats to Kenny. We know he's confirmed first place in this event. and gets that top 4 Nationals invite with that Karakuri card today. Hope he's excited. Local guy here as well.
One of the Las Vegas locals.
Yeah, one of the Las Vegas locals. Only 15, about 20 of the people here are the Las Vegas locals. A lot of people from out of town. And one of the locals stayed true for Las Vegas. One piece here to win it all.
Something that we loved in the stream today, the People's Card Shop stream. Excellent, excellent job for Kenny. We showcased him. Did we showcase Kenny earlier in the tournament?
Yeah,
we did, right? Yeah.
Nell on camera, yeah.
And so, excellent, excellent stuff. I know he's been practicing a lot and playing a lot of green lately at locals. So, excellent job for Las Vegas, but also this store championship in general, this store regional for July. So, thank you again. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to try to go back into a little bit of stuff and try to do a little bit more before we end stream. So thank you again. And a reminder, if you ended up missing any of the tournament today, maybe you missed a round, your friend was on, there will be a recorded upload for the Atrocious TCG YouTube channel, the YouTube channel that I run. So it will be provided on there as well for you all if you want to go watch it as well. And, the claps going on for Kenny, one of our Las Vegas locals in there. And thank you so much. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, welcome back, guys. We are here with our winner, Kenny, a.k.a. Vanera. Bonnie winner right here. How do you feel about it today, man?
Good, just pretty crazy. I didn't expect to win, honestly. But yeah, it was good. I mean, my matchups were good. I was drawing like crazy today.
Yeah, I saw a couple of your matches was pretty good. What did you expect beforehand? Like, what did you expect to see? How did you expect to go? Your matches, like, what did you when you were walking in, what did you really expect of it?
Yeah, I think mainly the thing that was unexpected was not a lot of Luchis. So I was playing a lot of Luchis with my friend, and I was pretty prepared for that matchup, but I only faced one today, and then in general, there wasn't a ton.
Yeah, we only saw 4 Luchis, and unfortunately, they didn't make it too far early into the round. It was kind of disappointing, too, because we kind of wanted to see how it went with the meta, but there was a lot of Bonnies out today. Obviously, you played the Mirror, you played an NL.
Yeah, 2 NLs, Mirror, RP Law, BY Luffy.
All right, and then we saw that NL matchup. How did you feel? It was a really hard matchup.
Yeah, that one was really rough. I mean, I just didn't see too many big bodies. I was banking on like 2 of the 8-cost kids, and that was pretty much like my whole big bodies the whole time. And then at the end, I was like, if I block with this Rosinante, I'm going to just lose, so I just need him to go for game. But yeah, I got lucky there. He was playing like big body after big body after
What
big
about
body.
right now with the Mirror that you're playing a player, obviously playing the same deck as you know the lines of it, but him playing a really spicy or techie list that was obviously he said it was for Lucci. How did you feel of that? Where obviously we didn't really see the tech that he had for those matches. He held them, but how does that make you feel? Like if you would have seen it or?
Yeah, I mean, if I gave him time to play, he was on the 8-cost Rosinante. If I gave him time to do that and then put 2 bodies out, it gets pretty rough. But at least from my experience in the Mirror, if you go aggro, like I think I won die roll. I decided to go first. You just want to kind of go aggro, make sure they don't have time to put out a bunch of bodies. And then Hody on curve to rest their 1 Dawn that they leave standing, lets you win board or at least get some cards out of hand. And then perfect curve of Hody into Zoro is just probably going to lock it up for them.
Okay. And then your tech, your Spice, Stellinger.
Yeah, dude, the MVP.
That man just got on board and is stuck with it.
Yeah, if you drop him early, like he just gets you like 5 or 6, 7 Dawn throughout the whole game.
Yeah, you mean you put out all your down out, you don't have to leave one standing, you put out bodies, and it just gives it back to you.
Yeah, like in that game, I was able to play Kid on 9 Dawn because I had the Dellinger. Otherwise, Kid's a 10 Dawn play if you go 8 Kid, put 1 on him, leave 1 up for leader. But if you have a Dellinger either established already or you can play it off of the Kid, which I think I did in that game, then you get the 3 Dawn back. So it's not a 10 Dawn play, it's a 9 Dawn play.
Yeah, it's a pretty nasty play I saw, and I was like, oh, here we go again. But, man, you got your Nationals invite.
Yeah, it's insane.
Pretty ecstatic for that, right? You're going to be ready for it. How do you, moving forward, how do you feel like you're changing deck list? Are you going to go with the same deck list? Or are you going to come into locals and see how it feels with the other decks? How are you going to...
Yeah, I mean, Bonnie has like a ton of different builds, so I do want to like dip my toes into other builds. Like I want to try the 8-cost Rosinante build.
Yeah.
I'll probably mess around with like upping my Zoro count. I was only on 1 Zoro. I got lucky. I saw it in that mirror.
Man.
So yeah, I mean, I'll probably just mess with the build a little bit. Bonnie's super flexible, so I got a lot of testing to do. But I think I'm locked in for Bonnie. It just seems like a really good deck. It's like every matchup feels pretty close to 50-50, and it's just like if you draw better and if you play a little bit better, then you know you can make it.
All right, man. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Let me see what these guys want to do.
Thank you so much for joining in this video. I super appreciate you making it through all of this way. Again, like I said in the beginning, this was the first ever kind of tournament that I've ever been a part of producing and creating a live stream for. So learned a ton of things in this, not only from like a casting perspective, right? Learned a couple things doing more live casting. A lot of my casting that I do is live in a sense, but it's also like a recording. So this is a little bit different in a sense that I need to get used to and to get more practice in, but also I got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge of producing one in general. There's a lot of time and money spent into this. I basically lost like an entire week prepping for this regional. And despite, you know, a little bit of the audio issues that happened in round 2, you know, the one time that I accidentally called Cavendish or Basil Hawkins, or it was Basil Hawkins as Cavendish, whatever. It was a great one overall. So again, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy this video. Or wait, no, you've already watched the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah.